The city gleams with a cold, futuristic light, towering structures piercing the sky. Amidst the urban sprawl, an advertisement for organic base powder promises to revitalize skin with instant results. The sleek, clean lines of the city's infrastructure reflect a world built for confidence, a constant, subtle rattle accompanying the journey. Inside a bustling train car, the same rattle echoes as a man in a dark suit speaks on his phone, while a woman with glasses examines a cosmetic container, an advertisement for cosmetics glowing nearby. The train continues its journey, the promise of instant results from the product still visible on a small screen. The woman looks up, a slight sound of surprise escaping her, as the man on the phone remains engrossed in his conversation. His conversation partner asks if his suspension is over, while Kwak Soo-young remarks that Yoon Phil still seems to have the blues. Ha Il-soo then inquires if he's putting on a match today with the leader from the 20th high school. Yoon Phil concludes his call, telling the person on the other end to take care. He confirms his suspension is indeed over, but then adds that the match has been cancelled, a sound of disappointment escaping Ha Il-soo. He stands in the rattling train car, engrossed in his phone, while his companions, Ha Il-soo and Kwak Soo-young, occupy themselves nearby. The rhythmic clatter of the tracks accompanies the faint strains of music as the vehicle slices through the urban landscape. A blur of speed and light. The train rattles onward, its momentum a constant, vibrating presence. But amidst the journey, another presence emerges, a helmeted figure, their form obscured by the shadows and the train's persistent rumble. The rhythmic rattling continues, a backdrop to their silent, unmoving vigil. From within the dark visor, a faint, crimson glow begins to emanate, a subtle hint of something unnatural. As the helmeted figure turns, their eyes blaze with an intense red light, a wide, unsettling smile spreading across their face, revealing a sinister intent. A sudden commotion erupts on the train, passengers recoiling in fear as one voice cries out, "Hey, what the? Get lost!" While another, filled with dread, warns, "Honey, look at that man's eyes." The panic intensifies. "Hey, get away from me. Are you crazy? Are you deaf? Get away from me." From the source of their terror, a chilling voice echoes, "You think you're better than me?" Followed by a deranged, echoing laugh. The train hurtles forward, as the helmeted figure stands amidst the terrified passengers, who whisper, "He's a psycho. He's going to kill us all." A metallic slide sound echoes through the car. Suddenly, the figure is surrounded by armed guards, their weapons raised, all focused on him. The guards maintain their aim, their tactical gear glinting, as the helmeted figure stands his ground. An attack connects, a zap sound accompanying the impact, and a crimson glow emanates from his visor, revealing a fresh injury and a fiercely glowing red eye beneath the helmet. Despite the injury, the figure remains defiant, still facing the multitude of armed guards. Still reeling from the impact, he touches his face, a confused sound escaping him. His fingers come away stained, and a growing realization dawns on him as he stares at the blood. Before he can fully process the injury, the guards rush him, their shouts echoing through the train. But as they close in, his hand instinctively reaches up, and a pair of sleek headphones slip from his grasp, the date, Seoul 2020, flashing across his mind. The headphones tumble through the air, reflecting the harsh train lights. A fragmented thought, "We are," echoes in the sudden silence. They hit the metallic floor with a sharp clatter. In the aftermath, the guards lie sprawled and unconscious around him. The headphones rest silently on the ground, a stark contrast to the chaos. The helmeted figure, now revealed as Yoon Phil, lies on the ground, his face contorted in pain, a trickle of blood staining his mouth as he clutches his head. As the world spins around him, a fragment of a song echoes in his mind. "Is for you to shine, shine down on me. Shine on this life that's burning out." A sharp, involuntary gasp escapes into the oppressive darkness. As Yoon Phil, breathing heavily, scrambles up a long, dimly lit stairwell. His face is etched with desperation as he continues his frantic ascent, reaching out for an unseen handhold or an escape at the top. But his efforts are in vain as he suddenly loses his footing, tumbling violently down the entire flight of stairs. Crashing to the bottom in a heap of pain and blood, his eye now glowing with an eerie red light. From the top of the stairwell, a helmeted figure emerges, a silent, ominous silhouette observing the fallen man. He raises a gloved hand, a finger extending, which then begins to emit a soft, blue light. Before he swiftly pulls out a pistol and cocks it with 2 sharp clicks, ready to finish the job. From the top of the stairwell, the helmeted figure observes Yoon Phil, who lies injured below, a soft click echoing as he prepares his weapon. A moment of surprise flashes across his face as he notices something unexpected, blue energy beginning to emanate from his finger, muttering to himself about the strangeness of the situation and the isolation of their confrontation. He questions the sight before him, expecting a similar opponent, but Yoon Phil, his eye now glowing with an ominous red light, declares himself to be fundamentally different. Ignoring the warning, the helmeted figure intensifies his blue aura, aiming his weapon with a chilling pronouncement of impending doom, but Yoon Phil's crimson eye flares, a silent command for his attacker to simply perish. As the helmeted figure reiterates his threat of death, Yoon Phil, now enveloped in a vibrant red aura, counters with a confident assertion of his own extraordinary fortune. Before the shot can even be fired, an unseen force erupts, striking the helmeted figure with brutal impact, sending blood splattering from his mouth as he cries out in shock and pain. Still reeling from the unexpected blow, he hears a taunting question about his pain, as a visible burst of red energy impacts the ground nearby, confirming the source of the attack. With another powerful impact, the helmeted figure is thrown backward, his weapon flying from his grasp as he cries out in disbelief, while Yun-Fil, now fully upright and radiating power, bids him a final farewell. The helmeted figure collapses onto the ground, defeated and bleeding, as Yun-Fil stands victorious over his fallen foe. The helmeted figure lay broken and bleeding, his face contorted in agony, as Yun-Fil stood over him, eyes burning with a fierce, crimson glow. A choked gasp escaped the defeated man's lips, a realization dawning on him as he whispered, He's a psycho. Before Yun-Fil delivered a final, devastating blow. The raw power still coursed through him, leaving vivid red markings across his face, a stark reminder of the battle's intensity. Back in the quiet of his room, a sudden, overwhelming wave of exhaustion hit him, causing him to cry out in sheer physical and mental strain. Lying in bed, he stared blankly at his phone, a soft gasp escaping him as he processed something he saw, the lingering effects of his power still subtly visible. Another gasp, then a familiar voice broke through his daze, asking, Soo-young, is that you? He tried to reassure her. No, something's not right. It's far. Kwak Soo-young's voice, filled with concern, insisted, I told you to come to the guild. He simply replied, I'm fine. A frustrated sigh escaped him, but Soo-young's resolve was firm, declaring, I'm coming to you. Later, he stood at a sink, turning on the faucet, desperately trying to wash away the lingering traces of the battle, splashing water onto his face as if to cleanse himself of the power's residue. He stares down, a faint purple aura still clinging to him, his body humming with an unfamiliar energy as he wonders what exactly just happened. His name is Yun-Fil, and this is the unknown code of his life. He yearns for an average existence, a normal, plain, and unimportant life in the sprawling city. Whether picking out a jacket that is neither too expensive nor too cheap, or simply sitting alone, he seeks only what is just right. He knows he isn't smart enough to define what he truly strives for, but he desperately wishes for no more problems, just a simple life, even as a faint purple glow still emanates from his hand. Even his health, he muses, is perfectly average, not too great, not too bad. Meanwhile, Kwak Soo-young, his colleague, looks on with concern, questioning if his desire for normalcy is merely an excuse. Elsewhere, Kim Bo-gang and Ha-il-soo discuss her determination, insisting that she must act, for there is no chance of failure if she doesn't even try. Soo-young, however, feels as though she is merely indulging herself, deceiving herself with her own actions. Kwak Soo-young looks at Yun-Fil, questioning if he's truly happy living an average life, and states that she doesn't believe him. She offers him an allowance if he's struggling, but warns that if he continues this path, he'll regret it, as Yun-Fil turns his gaze away, visibly uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Ha-il-soo asks Kim Bo-gang if he's managed to find another point of contact. Ha-il-soo emphasizes that if he doesn't want to fall behind, he needs to try everything. Kim Bo-gang, looking down, confirms he's looking into it, prompting Ha-il-soo to ask if he's found anything on Virgin, referring to her as a girl. A slight smile plays on Kim Bo-gang's lips as he remarks, long time no see. Ha-il-soo, visibly frustrated, snaps back, asking if he's forgotten what happened to his brother, as Kim Bo-gang's expression darkens. Kim Bo-gang replies that he still remembers the day his brother died, and that he's been looking for her ever since. With a haunted look in his eyes, Kim Bo-gang states, died yesterday. Still reeling from the revelation of his brother's death, Kim Bo-gang presses for more details, demanding to know why it happened. He recounts the official story, that his parents claimed the death occurred in the living room just a week prior, but the chief investigator's report painted a different picture. No one else was home, no signs of struggle, no marks on the neck, and no witnesses. Ha-il-soo listens intently as Kim Bo-gang, his voice laced with a bitter laugh, admits he was truly terrified of being beaten by his own brother. Then, with a chilling, almost gleeful tone, he reveals a crucial detail. Just before his brother died, he was with the girl who has the magical girl, finding the irony of it all hilarious. Meanwhile, Kwak Soo-young confronts Yun-Fil, her expression etched with concern, warning him that he's going to die if he continues down this path. Yun-Fil, however, defiantly declares he doesn't need help and won't lose again, especially not to a girl, prompting Kwak Soo-young to snap back, challenging him to a fight. Later, a distressed Yun-Fil stares blankly ahead, as a news report flashes across the screen, detailing a homicidal crime scene involving a zombie at Dangsan Station. Meanwhile, Kim Bo-gang and Ha-il-soo are on the move, driving through the night, their expressions grim as they continue their investigation. Kwak Soo-young calls out to Yun-Fil, questioning his identity as Du Beck, and asking what he means by psycho. Meanwhile, in a different location, a tablet displays grim news of a homicidal crime scene from the previous day, detailing a killing spree at Gangnam Station. Ha-il-soo and Kim Bo-gang observe the screen, their expressions somber. A shiver runs through Kim Bo-gang as he questions, wondering if the subject of their discussion truly cannot remember the events. He emphasizes the brutality of the incident after tearing apart all those people's flesh before repeating his skeptical query about the memory loss. Ha Il-soo calmly reports that the individual passed all lie detection, drug, and blood tests with no apparent issues, adding that he cares for his family and is scheduled for overseas training. Kim Bo-gang counters, noting that the man seems to have been affected, suffering a dislocated jaw and 2 broken teeth, then questions the true necessity of the situation. He then directly asks Ha Il-soo if he believes the man is feigning his memory loss, before sternly telling him not to treat him like a child, asserting that the man is dangerous. As Ha Il-soo looks on, Kim Bo-gang challenges him, asking, "And you are?" A forceful impact echoes through a sterile room as a hand reaches out, its shadow falling over a man's face, initiating a brutal interrogation. The psychological pressure mounts, far exceeding anything he has ever experienced, as 2 figures loom over him. It feels unbearable, a voice coldly instructing to drug him, ensuring he would be deemed the guilty one, a command met with a desperate, guttural no. He demands to know what right they have to accuse him, insisting he is the true victim, only to be met with the cynical retort that liars always do this, and a chilling question. "You want me to die?" Overwhelmed, he collapses to the floor, the 2 figures standing menacingly above him. His face contorted in anguish, he screams his innocence, desperately denying any involvement. This torment stems from a past trauma he encountered, a silent, agonizing memory that continues to haunt him. His eyes betray a deep conflict, realizing he has only one choice, as the words, "You've given me the imprint, and these memories," played by Jae-bong, are fake, echo in his mind. Like the protagonist Neo, he is presented with a choice, a red pill and a blue pill, each representing something profound. Still trapped in the unsettling memory, Yoon-fil grapples with the stark choice presented to him, the red pill or the blue pill, as a familiar voice echoes, accusing him of being the guilty one. He questions his very existence, wondering if he will remain in this reality or simply vanish. The profound uncertainty of his identity weighs heavily upon him, a desperate plea escaping his lips. The question of who he truly is echoes in the void, a fundamental truth lost in the depths of his fractured memory. Suddenly, the face of his interrogator appears, unmasked, claiming a long-standing friendship, yet his words betray a deeper, manipulative intent, leaving Phil to wonder, "Who are you?" Reflecting on the man's callous indifference, Phil realizes the interrogator truly cares for no one, not even himself. The memory shifts to a seemingly normal past, where his friends, Kwak Soo-young and Ha Il-soo, express concern for him, even commenting on his athletic build. Yet, this idyllic scene quickly fades, replaced by a traumatic childhood memory where everything began to unravel, ushering in a new, unsettling reality. The people who once offered support began to change, their attitudes twisting into something sinister. Someone who has experienced both the heights of joy and the depths of despair can only truly hold one of those realities in their mind. He thinks to himself, he's going to return to heaven, but then a second thought crosses his mind, deciding instead to simply accept his misery. A soft tap at the door breaks his reverie, and as he opens it, Kwak Soo-young greets him, remarking that there were no classes for school today. Later, at the dining table, he declares he won't eat anything, but she insists, telling him he has to eat anyway, to which he responds with a slight grimace, hoping she won't make fun of his eating habits. His thoughts drift to his new mother, who tries to be kind after his father's death, yet remains a strange person with whom he simply cannot connect, forcing him to pretend to be a good person. He continues to reflect on their strained relationship, acknowledging that they just don't connect, and there's truly nothing he can do about it. Sometimes, he muses, they don't communicate at all, sitting in silence across the table from each other. The reason for this emotional distance is clear to him. There's simply no place for him in this house. Suddenly, his eyes glow with an intense red light, and digital text overlays his vision, indicating a state of dying and hurt, a stark contrast to the mundane flashback. Frustration mounts as he hammers at the keyboard, observing an opponent who simply refuses to yield, making him wonder why such a skilled player would ever give up the professional scene. Suddenly, a system notification flashes across his vision, offering a mysterious transaction, and he instinctively reaches to accept it, a soft whirring sound accompanying the action as he dons his VR goggles. The world around him dissolves into a stream of binary code, a digital connection establishing itself. As the title TOF Quest of Fantasy appears, a blinding light engulfs him, pulling him deeper into the virtual realm. He finds himself standing in a dark, ethereal void, his form now transformed into a powerful, fur-clad avatar, a smaller, chibi-like version of himself appearing below. Before him floats a peculiar, plushy-like creature with large, button eyes and stitched features, its presence both whimsical and unsettling. Yoon-fil looks around the unfamiliar space, a voice echoing, "You're here again," to which he replies, "I'm always here for you." The plushy creature, identifying itself as natural-born hero, declares its intention to defeat him, its stitched mouth forming a determined expression. With purple energy crackling around his hand, Yoon-fil prepares for battle, musing that he typically chooses an average path, but this time, a powerful swing is imminent. Now fully immersed in the virtual world, Yoon-fil stands tall in his powerful avatar, a confident smirk playing on his lips as he dismisses any notion of failure. A system prompt then appears, demanding a map selection, presenting him with the plushie-like natural-born hero, ready for battle. The small entity seems to suggest the stone pile, a choice Phil immediately affirms, recognizing it as the optimal battleground. As the selection is made, the environment around them begins to shift and coalesce, a vast, grid-like arena rapidly forming from the digital ether. With a heavy, resonant sound, the battleground solidifies, ready for the impending clash. Yoon-fil stands before a digital interface, his plush companion by his side, as a prompt appears to select a map. He considers the options, then chooses the stone pit, ready for a new challenge. With his choice made, he is instantly enveloped in a shimmering grid, teleporting into the unknown. He lands with a soft thud, a lone figure in a vast, desolate landscape of jagged rocks and endless sky. Without hesitation, Yoon-fil extends his hand, blue magical energy swirling as he begins to craft. From a simple card, a gleaming sword materializes in his grasp, ready for battle. He tests the weapon's weight, executing a powerful swing that cuts through the air with a sharp whistle. Another card is snatched from his inventory, a new item quickly summoned. This time, a colossal hammer appears, which he brings down with immense force, shaking the very ground. As Yoon-fil prepares for battle, his plush companion, natural-born hero, taunts him, declaring his unique hammer and flame blade utterly worthless. Despite the provocation, he raises his massive hammer, ready to assert his dominance, a heavy thump, echoing as he prepares to strike, vowing that the spoils of this battle shall be his. His glowing red eyes fixate on his target, focusing on the power of his flame blade. With a swift craft and a sharp shing, he summons another card, revealing a brilliant, glowing blade as his red cloak billows around him, having kept another card hidden underneath. But natural-born hero isn't deterred, a slow dash sound effect accompanying his own card as he declares his intent for a double punch. A powerful beam of energy erupts from him, shooting upwards towards Yoon-fil. The attack connects with a sharp block, sending Yoon-fil recoiling, his red cloak flying from the impact. The double punch culminates in a massive kaboom, engulfing him in a blinding explosion. Having just crafted a new glowing blade, he moves with incredible speed, blurring across the desolate terrain, a sharp, cutting sound accompanying his rapid advance. But before he can close the distance, a powerful beam of energy erupts from natural-born hero, striking him directly with a forceful impact. A pained cry escapes him as the impact sends him reeling, while natural-born hero observes, surprised at his opponent's speed. Natural-born hero's eyes glow with an intense light, watching the unfolding chaos. The small plushie questions the situation, then reacts sharply as the ground around it begins to crack. The cracks spread rapidly, and a glowing orb of energy appears, pulsating with raw power. The energy erupts into a colossal explosion, engulfing Yoon-fil entirely. As the dust settles, Yoon-fil stands amidst the devastation, battered but alive, muttering, "I think I'm going to be sick." His last memory, a vivid and unsettling image, still lingered in his mind. He recalled a time when he was known only as the Psycho, a period of his life marked by relentless, almost instinctual combat. That identity, though distant, still felt like a part of him, a code etched into his very being. Now, a different kind of system interface appeared before him, displaying various options and notifications. He observed the digital display, his expression unreadable as new information scrolled across the screen. A message from Ha-Il-Soo, identifying himself as Digitalism, suddenly appeared, challenging him to a game and boasting about his $2,500 Sonax that would meticulously destroy him. Yoon-fil's brow furrowed in confusion at the unexpected digital confrontation. The scene shifted abruptly to a memory of combat, where he moved with brutal efficiency, delivering a flurry of powerful, rapid strikes. His movements were precise and deadly, culminating in a decisive headshot. Amidst a sprawling cityscape, the sounds of combat echo, each impact registering as a precise headshot. Suddenly, the digital interface of Ha-Il-Soo appears, posing a challenge to play a game, prompting a quiet, almost dismissive sound from Yoon-fil as a bonus notification flashes. Later, in the dim light of his room, he sits before his computer, the screen casting a faint glow on his face. A sigh escapes him, as a simple thought dominates his mind. He is hungry. With a soft shuffle, he rises from his chair and begins to move. His steps carry him through a doorway, his foot tapping softly on the floor as he exits the room. He approaches a table, where a meal awaits beneath a protective cover. With a quick motion, he lifts the cover, revealing the food. As he stands in the darkness, a faint, ethereal glow emanates from his eyes, illuminating his face with an otherworldly light. Ha-Il-Soo begins to speak, his gaze fixed upwards, then dropping with a sharp intensity. "I was just about to say," he continues, correcting himself as his eyes meet the other man's. Ma'am." Suddenly, the scene shifts to a quiet bedroom, a voice echoing with concern. "What's wrong?" On the bed, a phone screen flickers, displaying a stark message. "Error, signal lost." Back in the conversation, a confused sound escapes Yoon-fil, his expression mirroring the sudden disruption. Huh? Yoon-fil stands over a fallen figure, his expression a mixture of shock and disbelief as he stares at his own hand. The weight of his actions settling upon him. Later, sitting on his bed, the chilling realization washes over him. He has taken a life. His gaze falls upon his phone, the screen displaying the ominous title of Unknown Lyboe for Chapter 14, a stark reminder of the world he now inhabits. Meanwhile, the rhythmic thud of footsteps echoes through a sterile corridor as a group of men in dark suits advance with purpose. One of them, a bald man, questions the leader, a figure in sunglasses, asking if he is truly certain of their information and why this situation has arisen. The man in sunglasses responds with a chilling fact. He killed 18 people. The bald man then speculates, wondering if the target might be a high-level code. But the leader cuts him off, his voice firm, correcting his assumption as they continue their march. His expression remains unreadable behind his dark lenses as he leads his team deeper into the facility. A bright, vertical slit of light cuts through the oppressive darkness, accompanied by a soft, squelching sound. Within the gloom, Yoon-fil sits hunched, a stark beam of light bisecting his form, the air around him crackling with an unseen energy. His eyes remain tightly shut, a faint, pained groan escaping him as the light washes over his face. From a blinding doorway, the man in sunglasses observes, his silhouette framed by the intense glow. He speaks, his voice echoing the chilling question. Killed 18 people, without encountering a legend? Still on the floor, Yoon-fil looks up, a voice questioning him. Are you a legend? Before dismissing him, you're not a legend. He curls into himself, bathed in the relentless light. His eyes now open, Yoon-fil stares blankly ahead, the name Song Ji-yu, hanging in the air, a silent accusation. A sudden cutaway reveals the exterior of a building, blood splattered ominously on the pavement below, a gasp of horror accompanying the sight. Back in the dark room, Yoon-fil clutches his chest, a crimson stain blooming on his shirt, a guttural cry of pain escaping his lips. He crouches low, a crimson stain spreading across the door beside him. His eyes wide with a desperate, almost feral intensity, as the stark words dying, and you're not a legend flash across the screen before him. The damning accusation still burning on the display, a hand reaches out, fingers hovering over the mouse. His hands slam onto the glowing keyboard, a pained groan escaping him as blood stains his shirt. A single finger presses down on the enter key, and he collapses, his body hitting the floor with a heavy thud. Now on his knees, the only light in the desolate room emanates from the cold glow of the monitor. He stares blankly at the screen, a skull icon ominously present. A system message appears, declaring, Yoon-fil, color of a hero, and stating, I use my life to win. The image shifts to a grim scene, a lifeless body sprawled on a blood-soaked floor. Outside a school building, two students exchange hushed words, one asking if the other had heard the news, to which the reply was a simple query of what news. The conversation quickly turns dark, revealing a shocking truth. The student in class 3 had killed his own mother. Yoon-fil's face contorts in a mixture of rage and anguish. While the black-haired student with glasses looks on, his eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, Yoon-fil lunges forward, grabbing the student by his collar and demanding to know if he had committed the act, dismissing any excuses about being on Earth. The student, struggling, asks what else he was supposed to do. The student defiantly asks if Phil thinks he's any better, claiming he acted because his mother was his enemy. But before he can finish, Phil's hand lashes out, sending him sprawling to the ground. Standing over the fallen student, Phil declares that he is no saint either, unable to deny the truth of the day he killed his own mother, and that is precisely why he hates him. The student, now back on his feet, questions Phil's sincerity, but Phil retorts that he has too much impudence for someone who used to be a bully. With a final, contemptuous glare, Phil dismisses the four-eyed losers, declaring he has nothing more to say. A voice wonders what could be happening to Phil. As a vehicle speeds along, its wheels whirring rapidly. Inside, a police officer asks if someone heard the news, prompting a shocked student in the back to exclaim, "Wait," as the officer confirms the rumors. The student, now looking down in disbelief, hears the chilling details. One individual killed over 20 people, becoming the youngest serial killer ever recorded. Overwhelmed, he gasps, "Oh my God," before asking about the fate of another. The weight of the revelation crushes him, his face contorting in distress as he buries it in his hands. As he looks up, bound on the floor, Yoon-fil stands over him, declaring, "He killed us both," a statement the student vehemently denies, crying, "No, impossible." Yoon-fil's words cut deep, prompting the student to demand, "Stop lying," before desperately asking for clarification. What? What do you mean?" The student remains on the floor, his gaze fixed on Yoon-fil's silhouetted form, the weight of the accusation heavy in the air. With eyes burning a fierce purple, the young man snarls a death wish at Yoon-fil, his form blurring as he swings a weapon with brutal force, sending a spray of blood into the air. Nearby, Ha-Il-su's face contorts in pure terror, his eyes wide with shock at the sudden, savage turn of events. The assailant, his glowing eyes still fixed on his target, is revealed to be Song Ji-yu, a name whispered in fear as the country's youngest serial killer. In a stark, confined space, Ha-Il-Su sits beside Yun-Fil, who stares blankly ahead, as the former quietly observes the situation, murmuring that their efforts were unsuccessful. A voice cuts through the silence, cold and dismissive, telling him to stop crying. Yun-Fil's eyes widen, a flicker of desperation crossing his face as he questions where they are meant to go now. Tears welling in his eyes, he presses further, wondering what comes next. Meanwhile, a sleek black car speeds through the city streets, carrying Song Jae-yu, whose glowing eyes reflect a chilling resolve, a stark contrast to Yun-Fil's despair. A cruel, mocking laugh escapes Song Jae-yu, as he declares he isn't crying, then warns against making a fool of him, before echoing Yun-Fil's earlier question with a sinister edge. The car continues its journey, disappearing into the urban landscape. Inside, Song Jae-yu addresses an unseen figure with a polite yet firm tone, requesting to see someone and thanking them for their cooperation. Moments later, Yun-Fil's identification card is presented, accompanied by the words, "You're good to go," signaling his release or clearance. Standing in a brightly lit, sterile room, Ha-Il-Su looks down, contemplating his surroundings as he remarks that they must be here. His expression serious, Song Jae-yu asks if he spoke with the man in the black suit. Ha-Il-Su replies that he doesn't know who they are, but they don't seem to be government services, adding that they are going to start calling the public chap, prompting Song Jae-yu to question what kind of chap. Meanwhile, an official in a black suit and sunglasses, seated at a desk, asks if he is going to leave or if he will encounter trouble. Song Jae-yu continues his line of questioning, asking if Ha-Il-Su will fight with them, while the official sits calmly at his desk. His eyes narrowing, Song Jae-yu questions the meaning of an unknown code, as the official looks at a screen, wondering what it is. The official clasps his hands, reflecting on an incident that occurred 5 years ago. A nuclear-powered intercontinental ballistic missile began to function. As a digital clock counted down from 8 seconds, everyone believed it was the start of a third world war, until it reached 1 second, then abruptly displayed, leaving. A manic laugh escapes Ha-Il-Su as two concerned figures approach his desk, asking if he is all right, unaware that those around him had simply been replaced. They had never heard of such a thing before, this phenomenon that had affected the public, yet the most powerful man on the planet had simply stopped. He had explored who was behind the national defense system, discovering a mysterious hacker at large, their digital signature, OMIG system, SIS, unknown, .mid etched into the code. Staring at the cryptic file name, a question mark hung in the air as he prepared to click. A sudden, guttural sound of shock escaped him, his eyes widening in disbelief. The realization hit him with overwhelming force. He muttered the words. They were simply replaced, the phrase echoing in his mind as he stared at the screen. It was impossible, he thought. He always stopped such things. A wild, almost hysterical laugh escaped him, as the shocking truth finally broke through. No, but I did all that. Still reeling from his own shocking discovery, Ha-Il-Su insists that everyone around them is completely out of their minds, convinced they are all playing some kind of twisted game with him. He makes it clear he has no intention of participating, warning his companion to be careful, as Song Jae-yu, his eyes glowing with an eerie light, questions his motives, asking why he would do such a thing. Then, with a chilling intensity, Song Jae-yu utters a single word, speed. He presses Ha-Il-Su, asking if he truly understands what he's talking about. Ha-Il-Su, his expression still fraught with tension, confirms that he does, whether Song Jae-yu believes it or not, before Song Jae-yu reveals that the unnamed is already on high alert, and another individual will be next. Ha-Il-Su concludes, with a strange mix of bewilderment and conviction, that everyone in this world is truly crazy. An interrogator begins his line of questioning, asking Yun-Fil to confirm his understanding of the situation. Yun-Fil offers a simple affirmation, but the interrogator quickly clarifies that his point lies elsewhere, specifically regarding an unknown code that drives people to madness. With a direct gaze, the interrogator presses him, demanding confirmation that he understands the code's terrifying effect. Yun-Fil, looking up with a defiant glint in his eyes, asserts his actions were purely self-defense, insisting on his innocence and expressing a desire to simply go home. The interrogator offers a cold apology, before delivering the stark truth that his request will not be granted. He challenges Yun-Fil's naive hope, questioning how he could possibly expect freedom if all he knows is the code and nothing else. Later, confined to a desolate cell, Yun-Fil sits alone, the weight of his situation pressing down on him. The interrogator's voice echoes in his mind, as he remains silent, lost in thought. Finally, with a quiet resolve, Yun-Fil murmurs his refusal, accepting that he will not be going home. The interrogator's voice presses, asking if he was told to commit the acts, to which Yun-Fil simply affirms, before the man continues, suggesting it's all a government conspiracy and demanding Yun-Fil confess to everything. Furthermore, the interrogator challenges him, asking why he should even bother fighting the unknown code, as a subtle flicker of something unsettling passes through Yun-Fil's eyes. Heavy footsteps echo in the confined space, the interrogator looming over Yun-Fil, his presence oppressive. A sharp tap on the table punctuates the interrogator's demand for compliance, but Yun-Fil's mind is consumed by a simmering rage against those who put him in this position. Suddenly, Yun-Fil's eyes blaze crimson, his face contorting as he struggles violently against the interrogator's grip, veins bulging. Breaking free with a primal scream, he lunges, burying sharpened teeth into the interrogator's neck, blood spraying instantly. A monstrous roar tears from his throat as he continues to savage the man's neck, his face a mask of pure, unbridled fury. With a sickening tear, he rips a chunk of flesh from the interrogator, blood gushing violently. His face now completely covered in blood, Yoon-fil screams, his eyes burning with an unholy, crimson light. The raw, monstrous rage still courses through him, his mouth stained with blood, eyes burning with a terrifying, crimson glow. He holds the man aloft by his throat, a discarded knife glinting on the floor, a silent testament to the violence that just transpired. Yet, a flicker of his true self breaks through the monstrous facade, a desperate plea escaping his lips. He is not the bad guy. His eyes, wide with horror and self-loathing, reflect the terrible truth of his actions. Collapsing to the floor, he clutches his head in anguish, the interrogator lying motionless beside him, the knife still nearby. A fragmented memory flashes, the man's scream, the cold steel of the blade, and his own hand, stained with the aftermath. From above, the scene is stark. Yoon-fil cradles the limp form, a pool of blood spreading beneath them. As he sits, head in hands, a calm, older man with glasses appears, his voice a steady presence in the chaos, claiming to have stopped it. He reassures the distraught young man, insisting that he is not the problem, but rather the unknown code itself. He considers the hypothetical threats to humanity, imagining aliens descending from orbit to unleash lasers and destroy the Earth. Others, he muses, might envision them appearing suddenly, piercing the planet's core and unleashing X-rays. But in the grand scheme, he realizes there is truly no need for such cosmic threats. For today, the question remains whether man will conquer man, or if man will conquer Earth itself. And ultimately, it is man who conquers Earth. He knows he has to fight back against whatever is happening to him, his gaze falling upon a single blue pill. A quiet TSK escapes him, as the thought of Song Jae-yu's return crosses his mind. The older man explains that if he takes the blue pill, they will operate on his brain, causing him to forget everything, though the surgery only has a 40% success rate. After forgetting everything, he would be able to live a normal life. Yoon-fil questions if he truly won't remember anything, to which the older man calmly replies that it would be painful, obviously. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the air, warning him not to listen to the older man, claiming he is just playing with him. As a single red pill is offered, a voice explains, but if you choose the red pill, you will. Yoon-fil, his expression heavy with thought, considers the implications, wondering how he could possibly forget everything that had happened, even for a single day. The older man seated opposite him continues, his tone measured, W to get it. As the older man speaks, Yoon-fil's gaze falls upon the red pill once more, the choice laid bare, become a hero. Overwhelmed by the weight of the decision, his face contorted in anguish, Yoon-fil silently pleads for help, for the world. A man with a stern expression begins to speak, explaining that they will enable him to see it, causing Yoon-fil to react with a sharp intake of breath as the man suddenly grasps his arm. The older man continues, urging Yoon-fil to become stronger, to help him. Yoon-fil's gaze drifts, his thoughts consumed by the words, as a title card appears, marking the 7th unknown code. He finds himself within a sterile, futuristic corridor, bathed in the soft glow of blue light. His path leading him to a heavy, metallic door, its surface sleek and unyielding. With a low, mechanical hum, the door slides open, allowing him to step through. He walks forward, a voice echoing in his mind, instructing him to keep moving down the path, warning that failure would lead to his extermination. His eyes fall upon a small, intricate device embedded in the wall, its purpose unclear. He feels like just an ordinary person, wondering if he can still fight anything. A memory of Ha Il-su surfaces, reminding him, hey, we both know I can't escape, before adding, it's all good, so don't get too feisty. Stepping into a brightly lit, sterile space, he questions if this is truly the next stage, his bare feet tapping softly on the cold floor. A low, mechanical hum fills the air, as a circular platform on the floor begins to activate with a soft whirring sound. Energy crackles around the platform, as it rapidly rises and reshapes itself, culminating in a sharp metallic clang as it forms a sleek, high-tech chair. He stands before the newly formed seat, contemplating its purpose. A disembodied voice cuts through the silence, issuing a direct command, sit in the chair. A look of distress crosses Yoon-fil's face, his eyes glowing with an ethereal blue light, as he mutters, wondering if this is some kind of medical examination. Seated in the sterile, high-tech chair, he voices his apprehension, wishing for some prior knowledge of what they intend to do to him. With a sharp clack, mechanical clamps swiftly secure his hands, followed by another as his feet are firmly locked into place. A final, decisive clack echoes as a collar-like device snaps around his neck, completing his restraint. Fully immobilized in the glowing chair, he remarks on the peculiar nature of his captor's tastes. With a soft whirring sound, a sleek visor begins its descent, moving to cover his face. The visor clicks into place with another whir, fully encasing his head, and the entire chair emits a resonant clang as the process completes. A holographic display flickers to life, showing complex data and targeting reticles, prompting a confused query from him. Still encased, he wonders if this is all a game. While in a separate control room, a woman and a man observe a screen displaying unknown code 07 and confirming data transfer. As the procedure continues, a woman with striking pink hair and glowing blue glasses observes a monitor, declaring the initial readings to be fantastic, while the screen displays 245 BTP. With a determined expression, she confirms that they can begin the next phase, and the restrained figure of Yoon Phil in the chair begins to glow with an ethereal blue light. Her gaze sharpens behind her glowing glasses, as she utters a silent prayer that this subject will prove useful. She then issues a command for the linker to stand by, directing her team to insert the necessary chemicals, acknowledging their readiness with a curt great. With a final, decisive order to connect linker, a powerful surge of energy courses through Yoon Phil, eliciting a sharp, guttural sound as his body convulses. The name, Claire, flashes across the screen as the chair's mechanisms engage, intensifying the blue glow around Yoon Phil, who is now fully enveloped in the procedure's effects. The intricate machinery of the chair continues its work, and Yoon Phil's agony intensifies, a pained HHH, escaping his lips. His screams grow louder, a desperate "Aia" echoing through the lab, his face contorted in pure anguish as the blue energy pulses around him. As his hand clenches in a desperate struggle, Yoon Phil's eyes snap open, glowing with the same intense blue energy that now envelopes his entire being. He stands before a towering city building, his gaze distant, as if lost in thought. But then, his eyes ignite with an eerie blue glow, as a chilling thought echoes through his mind. The youngest serial killer, Song Jae-yu. A shadowy, canine form flickers into his perception, radiating pure killer instincts, and he is challenged to figure this one out. A gasp escapes him, his glowing eyes wide with a mixture of fear and confusion. He stares at his own hands, shirtless and disoriented, wondering if this is truly real, or if he's trapped within a virtual reality machine. No, he thinks, this can't be. Turning away, he tries to rationalize the impossible, concluding it must be a virtual space, yet surprised by the sensation of cold. A screen materializes before him, displaying a monstrous figure, its image shimmering with a soft hum. He stands in a stark, empty room marked blank, his voice echoing as he calls out, "Is there anyone here?" As he turns, now clad in a jacket, his glowing eyes still pierce the strange reality, the air around him swirling with unseen energy. His boots crunch softly on the debris-strewn ground as he walks, a quiet complaint escaping him that this strange, new reality isn't quite his style, but at least it offers some respite from the cold. A sudden flutter of paper catches his attention, a small flyer drifting down from above. He reaches out, catching the flyer, his brow furrowing in confusion as he reads its contents, a growing realization dawning on him. The paper reveals a wanted poster featuring the face of Song Jae-yu, the youngest serial killer, leaving him utterly stunned. Yoon Phil stands before a wanted poster, a flicker of recognition crossing his face as he murmurs, "What?" His gaze then shifts upwards, a question forming on his lips. A tunnel. His eyes widen in shock as a violent crash erupts, the world around him shattering. He is flung through the air, tumbling helplessly through an unknown void. As he falls, a strange, vibrating sensation emanates from his hand. Below him, a monstrous, metallic maw opens wide, letting out a deafening roar. Another figure screams in terror as the creature's jaws snap shut, consuming them in a bloody bite. The horrifying sound of tearing flesh echoes through the air, while Phil, still falling, witnesses the gruesome sight. His expression hardens, a fierce resolve replacing the shock in his eyes. With a sudden burst of speed, he lands directly on the creature's head, poised to strike, as a gasp escapes from below. Still plummeting through the void, Yoon Phil questions if this surreal experience is merely a dream, the strange vibration in his hand persisting as the tormented cries of Song Jae-yu echo from below. From within the monstrous entity, a man named Ha-Il-Soo pleads for help, his arms seemingly trapped and distorted. Yoon Phil questions the man's strange request to craft his arms, while a disembodied voice explains that in this cognitive virtual world, only consciousness truly matters, and Ha-Il-Soo reveals Yoon Phil's highest TP, despite his beginner status, implying an innate ability to craft. The vibration in Yoon Phil's hand intensifies, a low hum emanating from his glove, as Song Jae-yu continues to struggle beneath him. Yoon Phil asks why Ha-Il-Soo doesn't craft himself, to which the trapped man replies that he has exhausted all his STP, then wistfully describes imagining a rainbow-colored rose. Ha-Il-Soo laments the difficulty of this world and his inability to craft again, but Yoon Phil assures him he won't die, dismissing the idea of crafting something as frivolous as a rainbow rose. The trapped man falls silent, leaving Yoon Phil to ponder the concept of a rainbow rose. As the thought takes hold, a vibrant, multicolored rose begins to materialize in the darkness, and Yoon Phil's eyes glow with an ethereal blue light. The rainbow rose fully forms, radiating with energy, while the blue light in Yoon Phil's eyes intensifies, a powerful hum resonating around him. Yoon Phil stares at the system window, a message indicating he has 248 STP, or skill/talent points, available. He questions the meaning of STP, wondering how such a system could exist in this world, as Ha-Il-Su explains that it's a fundamental concept within this cognitive virtual space. The system then prompts him to choose a category for crafting, offering mechanic, bionic, or element, and Ha-Il-Su advises him to select bionic to proceed. Next, a craft code interface appears, displaying symbols for sunflower, snowflake, and pizza, with Ha-Il-Su clarifying that these codes simplify the crafting process by allowing him to imagine the desired object. He explains that the craft code is made up of symbols that represent the essence of an object, acting as a shortcut to bypass complex mental visualization. Yoon-Fil, still skeptical, wonders why the codes are in English, but Ha-Il-Su dismisses the question, urging him to focus on the crafting itself. With a determined expression, Yoon-Fil prepares to attempt his first craft code manifestation. He focuses, and with a soft BE sound, a vibrant sunflower materializes before him, prompting Ha-Il-Su to exclaim in amazement. Ha-Il-Su, impressed by the successful crafting, acknowledges that Yoon-Fil's talent is truly remarkable. He points to the translucent screen, explaining, "This is a danger level C monster, known as the fish. Its unique body makes it incredibly difficult to eliminate." Yoon-Fil, still processing the information, asks, "If it's only danger level C, how strong can it truly be?" Ha-Il-Su continues, his gaze fixed on the creature's data. It's an unknown code, the fish, danger level C. The system elaborates on the creature's origins and behavior. First discovered in 20XX, it typically infiltrates portable electronic devices, operating by manipulating finger movements. Turning to the young man, Ha-Il-Su challenges him directly. "If you can't even get rid of a dumb fish like that, then you guys will never truly escape this place." Yoon-Fil's expression hardens as he responds, "Expect to get out." A small, crystalline object begins to form at his feet, glowing with nascent energy. "Okay." With a confident smile and eyes now glowing with inner power, he declares, "Then let's start fishing." A larger, more intricate crystalline structure takes shape before him, radiating a soft light. Ha-Il-Su and Yoon-Fil stand before a colossal, dark, organic structure that looms over a futuristic cityscape. A determined glint in his eye, Ha-Il-Su prepares to begin. Yoon-Fil lies defeated on the ground, while Ha-Il-Su stands over him. Ha-Il-Su looks down at the defeated figure, a hint of regret in his expression as he apologizes for his actions, though he quickly reminds his opponent who truly initiated this confrontation, reiterating his apology and explaining that this is the only way to get the answers he seeks. He muses that the time for this has finally arrived, clarifying that he didn't want to resort to such methods. But with the information withheld, he had no other choice, adding a final, pointed reminder of the stakes. Meanwhile, in another location, Claire, Song Jae-yu, and another figure observe a large, glowing screen, as Song Jae-yu begins to speak, addressing someone respectfully. He continues to observe the large screen, a faint glow emanating from his eyes as he asks for their most entertaining subject, wondering if the other person knows him. Meanwhile, Claire, standing before a similar display, announces that Yoon-Fil's test is about to begin. His glowing eyes widen slightly, a surprised question escaping him as he processes her words. Claire holds up a transparent tablet, its holographic display clearly showing the name, Yoon-Fil alongside the identifier 1043 BTP. The details on the tablet remain starkly visible, confirming the subject of the impending trial. Both Claire and her associate gaze intently at the main screen, which now prominently features the same numerical identifier. Her voice, filled with a mix of awe and disbelief, declares the outcome of the test, calling it a world record. Far away, in a desolate, rocky expanse, Yoon-Fil stands shirtless, his gaze fixed upwards, a look of bewilderment on his face. He now stands on a metallic platform, clad only in shorts, surrounded by an alien landscape under the watchful eye of a colossal, distant moon. Still reeling from the sudden transport, Yoon-Fil finds himself on the cold, metallic floor, a laser beam searing past him, realizing the test demands a weapon perfectly suited to him. Injured and bleeding, he pushes himself up, his body protesting against the harsh environment. His gaze falls upon a sleek, unfamiliar weapon lying nearby, its form hinting at immense power. With a decisive motion, he reaches out, his fingers making contact with the weapon's surface. A soft tap resonates through the metallic chamber as the weapon responds to his touch. A brilliant white aura erupts around him, enveloping his form as he stands transformed, the weapon now integrated into his very being. With newfound speed, he bolts forward, his bare feet blurring across the floor. He races through the sterile corridor, a streak of motion against the stark walls. Suddenly, the transformation fades, and he collapses, gasping, overwhelmed by an intense, biting cold that pierces him to the bone. A small, round object slams onto the ground, and Yoon-Fil's thoughts echo through the desolate space, wondering if he has truly landed in some kind of hell. Suddenly, a holographic screen flickers to life before him, displaying a Stark, before questioning his identity, then remarking on his unusually rapid learning, even calling him a cheater for his quick grasp. The system then identifies itself, reiterating its question about his identity, and Yoon-Fil, in turn, declares himself a very rare alpha male, asking if the system has ever encountered one before. With a stern expression, he issues a clear warning, telling the system not to get too close. The strange, organic structures of the alien landscape around him seem to hum with a low, almost imperceptible energy. As Yun-Fil observes the screen, a sense of recognition dawning on him, finding the system's presence strangely familiar. He glances down, then slowly lifts his gaze, taking in the full scope of his surroundings. His eyes, sharp and focused, scan the alien environment, first looking up, then dropping to examine the ground. As he extends his open hand, a soft, blue glow begins to emanate from his arm, pulsing with a gentle, ethereal energy. The blue energy around him intensifies, crackling with raw power, enveloping his entire form. Elsewhere, a figure emerges, enveloped in a vibrant purple and pink aura. He muses on the passage of time since he last took this form, noting that everything seems to be unfolding precisely as he intended. Meanwhile, in a sterile control room, Claire and two other researchers observe the unfolding events on a holographic display. One of them wonders aloud about the entity's ability to bypass their database and create something entirely new from scratch, questioning the speed of its development. Claire's eyes widen in disbelief, a sudden realization dawning on her. The white-haired researcher speculates on a possibility, prompting her to voice the shocking title, Natural-Born Hero? She can barely believe it, confirming that the figure on screen is indeed the one known as the natural-born hero. The blue energy surrounding Yun-Fil intensifies, radiating outward as his transformation deepens. The city skyline stretches under a clear sky, a deceptive calm before the storm. Suddenly, a frantic chase erupts through the urban canyons, as Yun-Fil, Ha-Il-Su, and Song Jae-yu sprint across rooftops, their movements punctuated by the rapid clatter of their feet. Behind them, the ominous sound of distant impacts echoes through the air, and Song Jae-yu glances back, a grim realization dawning on him as a monstrous, skeletal figure emerges from the depths of the city, its glowing red eyes fixed on them. The creature's voice, a chilling rasp, cuts through the din of their escape, promising, "Come and eat me, you skinless bastards. Come on, we might taste better than you think." A glowing projectile, launched by the monster, streaks through the urban landscape, a deadly beacon closing in on its targets. The monster closes the distance in a blur, its skeletal form lunging with terrifying speed towards the three fleeing figures. As the threat looms, Yun-Fil's expression hardens, his eyes flaring with an intense, electric blue glow, signaling the activation of his hidden power. In a sudden burst of energy, a collection of bizarre, mundane objects, a kettle, a rubber duck, and a candy cane, materialize in midair, surrounded by swirling magical lines. The monster recoils with a guttural snarl, its glowing red eyes widening in confusion and surprise as the unexpected attack connects. He continues his barrage, mundane objects exploding against the monster's form with a deafening boom. But his gaze remains sharp, a targeting reticle locking onto a new weakness. Another impact strikes the creature's head, a distinct crack echoing as its protective barrier begins to falter. From a distance, Song Jae-yu observes the scene, confirming the monster's defenses. As expected, it has a shield. Do it now. Responding to the command, Yun-Fil's focus intensifies, his eye glowing as he locks onto a new target, manifesting a heavy, hammer-like object that plummets towards the creature. But the monster is not defeated yet, its eye flaring with malevolent energy as it unleashes a laser beam with a sharp clatter, though a flicker of surprise crosses its skeletal features. Before it can fully react, the hammer connects with a sickening epthak, engulfing the monster's head in a final, devastating kaboom. The skeletal monster, its maw agape, charges a devastating laser, its power building with terrifying speed. Meanwhile, a quick analysis reveals its core properties, mechanical, sonic, and elemental. With the target locked and synced, the distance to the monster is precisely measured at 138 meters. The monstrous head, its red eyes glowing ominously, looms over Yun-Fil and his companion, a silent threat in the desolate landscape. Suddenly, a colossal, jagged rock manifests above the creature, dropping with immense force towards its vulnerable head. With a deafening crash, the manifested object slams into the monster, sending shockwaves through the air. The impact sends fragments of its skeletal structure flying, its massive form reeling from the blow. Yun-Fil stands firm before the damaged creature, its glowing red eyes still fixed on him, but now with a hint of pain. A critical crack appears across one of its glowing red eyes, signaling a decisive blow. The skeletal monster, its form already fractured, finally gives way, dissolving into shimmering particles as a wave of energy radiates outward, leaving only the two figures standing in its wake. A relieved sigh escapes Ha-Il-Su, his voice filled with awe as he declares the creature gone, praising the incredible feat. He continues, marveling at the power displayed, especially from someone so young. But before the words can fully settle, a sudden, sharp movement cuts through the air, a swift, almost imperceptible strike from Yun-Fil. The attack is silent, a mere whisper of motion, as Ha-Il-Su looks down in confusion, meeting Yun-Fil's cold, upward gaze. Then, a sickening tear echoes through the space, and Ha-Il-Su's eyes widen in shock. A sharp crack follows, his face contorting in terror. Blood gushes from his hand, a visceral spray painting the air. Su collapses to the ground, bewildered and injured, as Yun-fil stands over him, asking if he hasn't heard. He stares at a wanted poster, his expression unreadable. Reflecting on the mission, he muses, the main objective was to eliminate the monster. He continues, a deeper truth emerging. But I guess there was a hidden reason as well. His gaze sharpens as he ponders. What would happen if I killed people in this virtual world? A piercing electronic tone sounds as a system message flashes, announcing the abortion of the first test. With a soft thud of his boots, he walks across a desolate, alien landscape, confirming his presence in the virtual colony. He interacts with a glowing holographic interface, asking, I have to get rid of these rundown dummies. The system confirms, yes, those dummies exceed 97% in resilience. Suddenly, a translucent blue projection of Song Jae-yu appears, his voice calm but firm. You'll have to find a way to survive. Yun-fil stands alone in the vast virtual expanse, the weight of the task settling upon him. He stands alone in the sterile, metallic corridor, the weight of Song Jae-yu's challenge pressing down on him, a single thought echoing in his mind. He must find a way to survive. A wry smile plays on his lips as he considers the lady's peculiar sense of humor, even as the system prompts him, asking what the matter is. He reminds himself that this is merely virtual reality, that no one is truly here, yet a deeper part of him knows the stakes are real. Clutching a device in his hand, he issues a command. The words take him away, leaving his lips, followed by an immediate, almost automatic, yes sir from the system. A towering, modern building stands against the sky, its sleek facade reflecting the urban landscape. Inside, Yun-fil rides an elevator, his expression unreadable. Before he finds himself facing two men in dark suits and sunglasses, one of whom questions, what? Where's the snow and the pretty little lady? The other man then asks if he wishes to undergo the test, to which Yun-fil confirms he was the first to arrive, earning the assessment. You'll be a good officer. With a nod, the examiners congratulate him on passing, reiterating, you'll be a good officer. You've got potential. As a new, stern-faced escort in sunglasses instructs him to follow to his room, Yun-fil stops him, demanding, wait, what happened to the other guy? The escort responds with a simple, who? Prompting Yun-fil to clarify, the guy I took the test with. You know, the guy wearing a beanie. The escort feigns ignorance, asking, what kind of beanie is that? But Yun-fil's gaze hardens as he directly accuses, you killed him, didn't you? His face contorts with a chilling intensity, reflecting the dark implications of his question. He stands alone in the dimly lit chamber, a quiet realization settling over him. These people aren't playing games. Suddenly, a sharp voice cuts through the silence, announcing, it's time. Follow us. The speaker, a stern-faced man in glasses, seems even more unhinged than he initially thought. As he reaches for a small device, his eyes begin to glow with an ominous red light, a silent signal of the power he wields. He strides confidently down a sterile, futuristic corridor, red laser grids crisscrossing the path ahead. The air hums with energy as he moves with incredible speed, only to halt abruptly as a shadowy, humanoid figure materializes before him, its form indistinct yet menacing. The official's eyes widen in shock as the entity lunges, its attack swift and brutal. The shadowy figure stands tall, its presence a stark warning. A metallic gleam catches his attention, and a chilling thought crosses his mind. Is this some kind of imprisonment? Before he can react, a blinding, star-like light erupts with a deafening hiss, engulfing everything. The sudden intensity forces him to recoil, his hands instinctively flying to his face as he cries out in agony, his eyes burning. Through the searing pain, his glowing red eyes narrow with a mixture of anger and fierce determination. When his vision clears, he finds himself standing on a small stool in a dark, featureless room. He scans the unfamiliar surroundings, a wave of confusion washing over him as he tries to make sense of his new predicament. A frustrated exclamation escapes him, wondering if this is some kind of trap or a critical system failure. The truth of his situation becomes terrifyingly clear. He is trapped within a transparent cube, adrift in the cold, endless expanse of space, a confined room without an exit. Meanwhile, from a distant control room, a man in glasses observes the cube and its captive on a holographic screen, his expression unreadable. A Class B unknown code, ominously named Wrath, has been identified. It was first discovered in Pakistan, and an official sits in a darkened control room, reviewing the grim details. This code, they learn, digs into your mind, unearthing and manifesting your greatest fears. It spreads through television sets, pushing viewers to the brink of horror, and inevitably, it kills them. In a memory, Yun-fil recounts hearing about the leader from the GS. New school, a psycho who kills people, a kid who has since been cancelled. This psycho kid had died just yesterday, and the voice of Song Jae-yu echoes, promising to stop this soon. A young Song Jae-yu is seen, screaming in terror, then eerily calm, as a voice commands him not to breathe, and he was found dead in his room by his parents, yet the worst part is that there are more like him. Back in the present, the official observes Song Jae-yu's image on a monitor, searching for any sign of choking or struggle. The young man's face, marked and distressed, fills the screen, a silent testament to the code's insidious power. Caught in the code's terrifying grip, Song Jae-yu finds himself staring up into an endless, geometric void, his head turning in disoriented confusion. The dark expanse stretches out, consuming all light. As his legs are the first to drop into the abyss, he plunges deeper, his body hitting an unseen surface with a dull, sickening thud. His form contorts, tumbling helplessly further into the dark. The descent continues, a silent, agonizing fall. As terror mounts, his eyes blaze crimson, a desperate hand reaching out into the emptiness. Before a choked gasp escapes him, followed by a guttural, final scream. As the wrath code consumed him, his human form crumpled to the ground, a monstrous shadow already looming over the dying remnants of his past self. The bloodied knife, a symbol of his dark deeds, slipped from his weakening grasp. A final, guttural scream of pure agony tore from his throat, his eyes wide with terror. His hand, once human, twisted and contorted, losing all semblance of its former shape. Then, a violent burst of crimson energy erupted, signifying the completion of his horrifying transformation. The newly formed monster stood tall, its glowing red eyes fixed on the lifeless husk of what was once Song Jae-yu. It slowly lowered its gaze to the ground, then just as deliberately, lifted its head, scanning the desolate space around it. A primal roar escaped its distorted maw, the very air around it seeming to waver and distort with its unstable presence. The crimson glow in its eyes intensified, a terrifying new consciousness fully awakening within the monstrous form. He stands, a monstrous silhouette against a blood-red backdrop, his form now fully twisted and grotesque. His eyes, once human, now burn with a malevolent red glow, as he gazes down upon the lifeless husk of his former self, adrift in a cosmic void. A sudden, sharp intake of breath echoes in the darkness. As a horrifying vision unfolds, Song Jae-yu sits calmly, surrounded by a grotesque pile of contorted bodies. The faces of the fallen are frozen in silent screams, a chilling tableau of despair. This is the infinite fear, a torment Song Jae-yu forces upon Yoon-fil, whose eyes glow red with terror as he is held captive. Yoon-fil's face contorts in a silent scream, his bloodshot eyes wide with unimaginable horror. It is a fear that never ends, threatening to drag him into an inescapable void. Overwhelmed, Yoon-fil collapses, clutching his head as Song Jae-yu watches, unmoving. His screams tear through the silence, begging for the torment to finally cease. But Song Jae-yu only grins, his glowing purple eyes reflecting the command to stop that he himself controls. The test is over, an official remarks, questioning if Yoon-fil is truly prepared to become a hunter, as the young man, Song Jae-yu, asks if he will regret his actions, his glowing eyes fixed on the older man. Looking down a long, empty corridor, the official confirms that Yoon-fil has already departed, a single word escaping his lips. He then adds, with a tone of finality, that the young man will be completely fine. Outside, under the bright sun, the official and Song Jae-yu walk side by side, the conversation continuing between them. The official asserts his identity as a hunter, but Song Jae-yu quickly retorts, reminding him that despite his status, he was unable to offer any assistance. Song Jae-yu then reveals a crucial detail, acknowledging that the official had, in fact, saved Yoon-fil. The official, now wearing dark glasses, firmly states the rules of their organization, emphasizing that they must never interfere or show concern for humanity during the tests, and that these are the guidelines they must adhere to. Meanwhile, Yoon-fil remains trapped in a distorted, nightmarish void, his eyes glowing with a fierce, tormented red. Though Yoon-fil had achieved an exceptionally high score, his mind was simultaneously unraveling, a monstrous visage of red eyes and sharp teeth reflecting his internal torment. His hands, marked with crimson, trembled from the strain. As he let out a silent scream, his eyes glowing with an unnatural blue light. The system registered a critical failure, declaring a state, // disconnect, leaving him slumped and unresponsive within the virtual reality. His VR headset remained in place, a silent testament to the ordeal. Meanwhile, Official A stood with a woman whose pink hair framed glowing purple eyes, as she explained that there were two primary reasons for the outcome. Outdoors, with Song Jae-yu observing nearby, the woman continued, asserting that mental weakness was merely a hurdle that could be overcome with sufficient training. She then added, with a hint of surprise, that she had never witnessed such a high score, concluding that if he could only enhance his mental fortitude, he would become an invaluable asset. His mind, once a fortress, now feels as though it is disconnecting, the very essence of his being fracturing within a vibrant, ethereal glow. Meanwhile, Official A considers the implications of the stripper's actions, a grim expression settling on his face. He questions the motive, wondering if the individual truly eliminated them because they lacked any potential, his brow furrowed in disbelief. The pink-haired woman, standing opposite him, hopes his second reason for concern makes more sense, as Official A remains silent, contemplating her words. She then reveals her intention to use Yoon-fil, the natural-born hero, for her own purposes. Turning away, her plan becomes clear, she intends to lure him out. As Official A's eyes narrow, a doorbell rings, its sound echoing through the silence. Outside an apartment, a young man presses the doorbell, announcing his affiliation with the Federation League, and asks if anyone is home. He presses the button again, then clears his throat, introducing himself as Philophile, his voice carrying a hint of formality. Yoon-fil walks away from an apartment door, leaving Ha-Il-soo standing by it amidst some discarded boxes. He thinks to himself, acknowledging the label of stripper, but internally correcting it to natural-born hero, while the apartment door displays the number 205. Ha-Il-soo, speaking to him, remarks on how he only drew attention to himself by eating Chinese food and drinking beer. Later, Yoon-fil sits at his computer, a helmet on his head, surrounded by a soft, ethereal glow, as if in a trance. A soft hum emanates from the computer, and an exclamation mark appears on the screen, catching his attention. His eyes glow with an intense blue light as a message box pops up, displaying an ID and the urgent plea, "We need your genius." The message persists, the words, "We need your genius," echoing the urgency of the situation. Another message appears, apologizing for not providing a location hacking device last time. With a decisive push, Yoon-fil slides his chair back, rising from his desk. A cup of instant ramen, its contents bubbling with an unnatural blue flame, signals a quick, solitary meal. As Yoon-fil, his light blue hair and glowing eyes betraying his disconnect state, quietly eats, another notification chimes, a message from Heartsuit Succubus Heartsuit, appearing on his screen, declaring, "I have some good meal." The sender continues, their words a mix of praise and expectation. "You're the only breadwinner for me and inspiration." They hail him as a natural-born hero, assuring him they'll be waiting for his enthusiastic reply. The final message urges him to action. "See you, hammer the pixel." A stylized, helmeted avatar with glowing eyes appears, a visual representation of the mysterious Heartsuit Succubus Heartsuit sender. Yoon-fil approaches a sleek, futuristic entrance, the automated gate sliding open to reveal a sterile interior. Reaching out, he places his hand on a glowing panel, activating a device that hums to life. A sudden jolt of pain racks his head, causing him to wince and clutch his temples as the device processes his presence. He stares at the screen, a complex interface displaying information, its glowing symbols reflecting in his eyes. A message flashes across the display, warning him that his movements will be supervised by the government, and he is forbidden from leaving the fortress. Later, in a different room, Song Jae-yu addresses Yoon-fil and Ha-Il-soo, his voice carrying an undeniable authority. He emphasizes that Yoon-fil, especially, is the only one they can't control, the only one with paperwork declaring him a good guy. A smirk plays on Song Jae-yu's lips as he mockingly calls out Yoon-fil's name, inquiring about the guy who was zoning out before sharply telling Ha-Il-soo to shut up. He then declares that they are all to remain within their jurisdiction, with additional personnel provided to ensure compliance. He dismisses a scoff from Ha-Il-soo, assuring them that their bodies won't be touched as long as they cooperate, but warns that if the rules aren't followed, the mana control device will kill them. Yoon-fil, with a resigned expression, simply replies, okay. The incident occurred in this very area, a problem that arose when some individuals, zoning out, were caught in the middle of a chaos gate. He clarifies, "I'm not telling you to go there, but it is our neighborhood, so enjoy it." After all, it is their neighborhood now. Yoon-fil, accepting the terms, responds, okay, I won't do anything stupid." With the conversation seemingly concluded, he and Ha-Il-soo turn to leave the facility. They walk away from the imposing structure. But Song Jae-yu's voice stops them. "I heard the news that you failed me first and was barely rescued, huh?" He taps his foot impatiently, adding, "You're the one who almost died, kid." Song Jae-yu continues, his gaze piercing, "I'm sure you don't understand, because they haven't told you anything." Still processing the implications of Song Jae-yu's words, he hears his companion echo the sentiment. As he insists his own life is more important than whatever past event Song Jae-yu is hinting at, while Ha-Il-soo tries to reassure him. He dismisses the concern, claiming he didn't care about the past, but Ha-Il-soo reminds him of their friendship. Then, Song Jae-yu, his eyes glowing with an eerie purple light, taunts him, calling him a weak little chicken, and asking if he wants to die. Yoon-fil, his own eyes now burning with a fierce blue, retorts that it could be Song Jae-yu who ends up dead. His gaze sharpens, wondering if someone is watching them. Ha-Il-soo points out a man in a black suit, observing them from a distance. Suddenly, a wave of intense pain washes over Yoon-fil, contorting his features. He collapses to the ground, groaning, realizing this agonizing sensation must be the effect of the nanomachine. Yoon-fil writhes on the ground, his body convulsing as the nanomachine's effects intensify, his eyes glowing with an unnatural blue light. Above him, Song Jae-yu watches the agonizing display, a cruel smirk playing on his lips as Yoon-fil struggles to comprehend the source of his torment. A triumphant laugh echoes through the air as the scene shifts to a sterile office high above the city, where official A calmly addresses an unseen individual. He acknowledges the situation with a detached air, confirming that the nanomachine has indeed activated. Official A continues, explaining the device's designation, the X-01, and its unprecedented nature as the first of its kind to be deployed. He then reveals the government's direct involvement, having authorized its use for a specific, undisclosed purpose. A schematic of the sleek, metallic X01 nanomachine appears, its advanced design hinting at its formidable capabilities. Back in the office, official A sits across from a bespectacled man, discussing the price of such an intervention, implying a significant cost beyond monetary value. Meanwhile, Yoon fills eyes wide with terror and pain, as the true, chilling purpose of the nanomachine is revealed, to strip away his very free will. In a sterile office, the official continues his discussion about the nanomachine, questioning its safety, even theoretically. He is assured that it's safer than human bodies, though that too is merely a theory. Meanwhile, a woman observes a modern high-rise, noting that the suite within appears quite normal. Inside, a young man approaches an elevator, finding it seemingly empty. He taps in a code, granting him access to the fortress, his new home, welcoming Philyu. Surveying the spacious apartment, he muses that it seems a bit big to live by himself. Later, as he eats a simple snack, a moment of quiet settles over him. But a glance at his reflection reveals a startling truth. His eyes glow with an ethereal blue light, hinting at something extraordinary within. A hand extends in greeting, as a new voice breaks the silence, introducing himself with a friendly, if slightly awkward, "Hey, nice to meet you." He continues, explaining that he'll be living here as well, while Yoon Phil, his eyes glowing with an ethereal blue light, offers a subtle, knowing smile in return. Observing the intense glow emanating from his eyes, the newcomer remarks, "So this is how you look like." A silent, profound truth settles over the moment. He is a natural-born hero. A young man with glowing blue eyes senses a presence behind him, wondering if he is being followed. He glances back, a flicker of recognition, or perhaps unease, crossing his features, before turning away again. His mind races, a chilling assessment forming. The man behind him is a natural-born psycho. Suddenly, the pursuer steps into his path, calmly asking why he was running off, prompting the young man to demand his identity. A wave of disbelief washes over Song Jae-yu as he realizes the man is just a kid, contradicting his usually infallible instincts. Yoon Phil extends a hand, a knowing smile playing on his lips as he addresses him by name, causing Song Jae-yu to recoil in shock. The older man then asks if he liked the gift, clarifying it was the one he sent to his house. Later, alone in his room, Song Jae-yu stares at a mysterious box, his thoughts consumed by the unsettling question of whether Yoon Phil is a hunter. Still reeling from the unsettling encounter, Song Jae-yu immediately begins to research, his phone displaying a Forster guidebook, while a physical copy lies open on his desk. Looking out at the city lights, he reads the definition. A Forster is someone with superhuman strength. The information continues, detailing that the only way to become one is to become a hunter. He imagines himself in the glowing, armored suit of an Encounter Corps member, the thought of such a role feeling alien. Lying on his couch, he finds the whole concept unsettling, muttering that it's weird and reflecting on his past. All I did is kill. A look of deep distress crosses his face as he questions, "So why am I so strong?" Sitting on his bed, he stares at his hands, dismissing the idea as bullshit, unable to reconcile his actions with the heroic image of a hunter. His thoughts drift to a name, Sue. Then a quiet apology. "I'm sorry. No, mother." Sue gazes down at the injured figure before him, asking if he is someone who can truly understand his pain. He continues, revealing that he once shared a similar fate, but now only the boy remains. Sue then states that he can no longer feel pain, promising to care for the injured individual, and introduces himself as Sue. Meanwhile, a determined expression crosses Yoon Phil's face, as if contemplating a grim choice, to save those who can live, or to end the lives of those who cannot, all while a news broadcast flickers in the background. Back in the operating room, a medical device hums with a low BZM, its energy beam focused on Yoon Phil, causing the attending doctors to react with shock. One doctor questions the impossible disappearance of the patient, while Yoon Phil's thoughts echo a deep aversion to deceit and the act of taking a human life. A crimson beam of energy intensifies, then pierces Yoon Phil's neck with a sharp PZZZ sound. The light continuing to penetrate his flesh. His body, connected to various medical devices, emits a steady, rhythmic beeping. Suddenly, the device over him flares with an intense red energy, causing the beeping to intensify as a doctor exclaims in shock, demanding to know what just happened. Another quickly responds that he's checking, while a third frantically orders the machine to stop, only to be met with the chilling reply that it won't. The medical team watches in growing alarm, their faces etched with deep concern. On a nearby monitor, the words "Forcer laser" flash, displaying a red target on a human form, as a voice reports with disbelief that the laser just cut through his artery. Another voice questions why his body isn't reacting to a Forcer's laser, realizing the machine itself isn't functioning as expected. The doctors continue their desperate attempts to regain control, repeatedly demanding the machine be stopped, but it remains unresponsive. One of the doctors, his brow furrowed, stares intently at a screen displaying a cryptic message, "Where are you going?" followed by an urgent beeping. The beeping persists as the screen shifts to a map, indicating a strange trajectory. The map highlights 2 points, 1.5 and 2.1 kilometers away, while text identifies the patient as Yoon Phil at level, beginner, concluding with the startling revelation that there are only two beginner forcers. Yoon-fil lies motionless, the persistent beeping of the machines surrounding him the only sound. Yoon-fil, his face etched with concern, clicks his phone to answer an urgent call, greeting the person on the other end with a strained, drawn-out hello. The voice on the other end, an agent, immediately informs him of a developing situation, then, with a tone of familiarity, welcomes him and instructs him to come over, to which he simply agrees. His distress deepening, he tries to interject, repeating himself, but the agent seems to cut him off, questioning why he doesn't just tell them directly. He insists, his voice strained, that what he's saying is true, emphasizing that he isn't lying. As a white-haired individual watches him from a distance, he continues to plead into the phone, his expression a mix of desperation and urgency. His eye, wide and intense, reflects the gravity of the situation. Still pleading, he is now observed by both the white-haired individual and a stern-faced bald man, as a command to dispatched echoes, signaling an imminent, decisive action. Life, Yoon-fil muses, is one big roller coaster, and he finds himself still waiting for the ride to truly begin, missing something he can't quite grasp. Then, his gaze falls upon a sleek, red Ducati, an absolute stunner of a machine, and a profound desire washes over him. He wants one of those. The thought echoes in his mind. He wants one of those. A silent, unwavering declaration. He wants one of those. Moments later, a helmeted figure on a motorcycle swishes past, a blur of speed and motion, leaving Song Jae-yu startled. As the rider speeds away with a resounding hua, Song Jae-yu's glowing eyes widen in disbelief, realizing the impossible. The truth hits him with a jolt. The person speeding away is none other than the one who stole his bike. He stares ahead, a quiet defiance in his eyes, as the words echo in his mind. But, I told you to leave. A voice cuts through his thoughts, asking, what's your name? The system then flashes an unknown code message, as if trying to identify him, while another voice calls out, Phil. Meanwhile, a sleek motorcycle tears through the city streets, its rider, with glowing eyes, a blur of speed and determination. He leans into the turns, a silent question hanging in the air. So you're back with Phil, his companion asks. Are you sure you want to do this, Phil? The question hangs heavy, followed by a reminder. I told you to leave. Phil turns away, the words echoing. Since I told you to leave. His companion continues. And you still came with me? Phil's hand rests on the motorcycle, a silent decision made. Let's take the bike and leave this place. A smirk plays on his lips, a hint of mischief and resolve. His companion sighs, repeating, humph. Phil looks down, a complex expression on his face, as he states, if you tell me to leave, I'll just go. Then, a deeper, more vulnerable question escapes him. Where will I go? His gaze hardens once more, the resolve returning to his features. An official stands before Song Jae-yu, his voice firm as he reiterates the mission, reminding him that the target is the person directly in front of him. He then clarifies that the objective is to kill the target using the nanomachine. Song Jae-yu, his expression unreadable, simply acknowledges the command. The official continues, emphasizing the importance of the task, and Song Jae-yu confirms his understanding. With a final, chilling instruction, the official tells him to proceed with the task immediately. Song Jae-yu's eyes, now glowing with an eerie purple-blue light, reflect a cold determination. He questions the official, asking who the target is. The official's response is cryptic, simply stating that from now on, the target is whoever Song Jae-yu chooses. With a chilling smile, his glowing eyes fixed on the official, Song Jae-yu accepts the terrifying freedom of his new directive. A young man with striking light blue hair holds a phone to his ear, a playful yet unsettling wink gracing his features. His smile widens, a predatory glint in his eyes as he declares, from now on, I own you. He looks down, his voice carrying an implicit threat, reminding his unseen listener to keep their eyes to the front and be a good boy. The name of this chilling caller is revealed as Song Jae-yu, while the eyes of his victim reflect pure terror. A satisfied smirk plays on his lips, his expression one of absolute triumph. Meanwhile, Yoon-fil reaches out to retrieve a phone from a hunched figure, as Ha-il-soo watches the tense exchange unfold. Suddenly, a powerful fist connects with a man's face, sending blood and spittle flying as he cries out in pain. In the sterile confines of an operating room, medical professionals work frantically around a patient, while Song Jae-yu watches, his face etched with profound worry. Suddenly, a desperate cry escapes him, as he calls out for his father. His eyes, usually a piercing purple-blue, glow with an almost unnatural intensity, reflecting his inner turmoil. The tension in the room is palpable, as the medical team continues their urgent work, oblivious to the young man's escalating despair. Unable to bear the helplessness any longer, Song Jae-yu confronts a doctor, demanding answers about his father's condition, just as Official A steps into the room. Before he can even finish his desperate plea, Official A's fist connects sharply with his face. The force of the blow sends him sprawling to the floor, but even from the ground, he screams a furious, desperate challenge to save his father. Official A stands over him, his expression unyielding, as the unnamed doctor looks on in shock. Lying on the cold floor, blood trickling from his mouth, Song Ji-yu can only curse their incompetence, his body racked with pain and helplessness. Song Ji-yu reels back, his face contorted in a mix of pain and fury. The impact sending him sprawling to the cold floor, while Official A stands over him, his arms still extended from the strike. His vision blurs, a single bloodshot eye reflecting the indignity of his defeat, but elsewhere, in a sterile operating room, two doctors frantically discuss the patient's deteriorating condition. One shouts in frustration, demanding to know what the other is looking at, then urgently commands them to move the patient. A low, rhythmic hum fills the air as a voice pleads, imploring someone to open the door for them. Song Ji-yu, now on his feet, races through the hallway, his gaze fixed on a pulsating, glowing organ. Connected by tubes, its light flickers ominously, a critical life force barely clinging to existence. He stares at it, his expression filled with anguish, as Official A watches him from a distance, a question forming in his mind about the identity of the patient. He stares intently at the figure before him, a question forming on his lips, wondering if his companion recognizes the man. A familiar, condescending voice cuts through the tension, greeting them with an unsettling cheerfulness, noting their early arrival. The official then utters a name, Bo Gang, leaving Song Ji-yu to wonder about the identity of this person and their connection to the situation. With a bruised and bloodied face, the official warns them to be prepared, then dismisses them with a harsh, insulting word. As their gazes lock, a faint, ethereal glow emanates from both their eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the power simmering beneath their surfaces. Still bearing the marks of a recent struggle, the official questions their lack of a gift before declaring their current location and a spot. Without warning, the official seizes Ha-Il-Su by the collar, demanding he surrender his hands. His grip firm, he reiterates the command, insisting that both hands be opened. The official then reminds them of their true purpose here, to fight, before turning to Song Ji-yu and suggesting he take the lead, a statement that leaves him utterly stunned. Still reeling from the previous confrontation, Official A confronts Song Ji-yu, his bruised face a stark contrast to his demanding tone, asking if he, as a doctor, would not help them. Song Ji-yu, in his white coat, responds with a firm declaration that he has a patient to save, asserting his identity as a doctor, while Official A, his gaze sharp, warns Ha-Il-Su to be careful, adding that the codes they face are at least level B. The weight of this information causes Song Ji-yu's eyes to flare with an intense, glowing red, crimson energy crackling around him as he processes the implications. A shadowy silhouette of him, wreathed in purple light, questions the very idea of being on the same level as them. With a resigned all right, Song Ji-yu turns and walks away, leaving Official A to watch him go, a quiet come back alive echoing in the air. Official A then turns his attention to Ha-Il-Su, his eyes glowing with an inner light as he asks if he is choking out again. His glowing gaze intensifies as he declares, "You have no idea." Ha-Il-Su, now kneeling, speaks of those things, emphasizing that they're different from anything they've encountered before. He elaborates, stating he's never seen a level C before, but has encountered some that were as big as a house and could even shoot lasers from its mouth. He dismisses the idea, stating that the situation is nothing like that, as the official questions his understanding. The official then gives him a task, and he acknowledges it, preparing to carry it out. As he begins to work on the device, he mutters about the nature of the task. A screen flashes with the name, Manhwa Hospital, and a password, confirming his suspicions. He resolves to complete the job quickly, without delay. The device hums with a soft glow. As he inputs the password, a faint buzz sound accompanying his actions. His eyes narrow in concentration, reflecting the device's light. A sudden realization dawns on him, as he utters a soft, questioning sound. He lets out a surprised exclamation, the implications of the information he just processed settling in. Yoon-Phil's eyes glow with an intense, almost electric blue as he processes the unfolding situation, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. Still questioning the bizarre circumstances, he launches himself into a furious assault, a vibrant blue aura flaring around him as he descends upon his unseen foes. His leg connects with brutal force, sending shockwaves of blue energy through the air with each devastating impact. As he continues to fight, a thought nags at him. Why are these enemies so inexplicably slow, their movements almost sluggish? His glowing eyes narrow in contemplation, realizing that if their slowness isn't a weakness, then it must be a deliberate tactic, perhaps a trap he needs to anticipate. A confident, almost maniacal grin spreads across his face as he unleashes another powerful strike, certain that no matter the strategy, he is superior. Standing between two masked figures, his voice cuts through the air, a sharp command to his companions. A figure strapped to a chair endures a relentless interrogation, the voice of their tormentor echoing with the same three questions, demanding to know the mafia's money's whereabouts. As the interrogator steps closer, the victim's desperate pleas to stay away are met with a chilling, unyielding smirk. A sharp blade descends, slicing deeply into the victim's arm. A raw, agonizing scream tears through the air. Leaving the scene behind, the interrogator walks down a long, sterile hallway. His form blurs with speed as he moves. With a decisive clasp, he activates a device held in his hand. His eyes ignite with an electric blue glow, and a powerful aura of crackling blue energy erupts from his body, radiating outward. As the energy subsides, leaving a figure on the ground, a satisfied grin spreads across his face, his eyes still faintly glowing. Yun-Fil finds himself disoriented, his eyes glowing with an ethereal blue light as he surveys a desolate, ruined city, questioning the very nature of this place. A chilling realization dawns on him as he mutters, "They did." He then scans the horizon, searching for an unseen foe. A faint, blurry shape appears in the distance, causing a wave of distress to wash over him, making him wonder if this horrifying scene is merely a dream. His glowing eyes narrow, attempting to pierce through the haze, but the true nature of the threat remains obscured. As the figures draw closer, their grotesque forms become horrifyingly clear, a horde of decaying, zombie-like creatures shambling towards him. A chilling, almost manic laugh escapes him, a mix of rage and dark amusement at the sight of the approaching abominations. With a triumphant cry, blue energy erupts from his outstretched hands, a powerful aura flaring around him as he realizes he might not be alone in this strange new world. The blue energy coalesces into a shimmering shield just as the zombie-like figures crash into it, their relentless assault met with an impenetrable barrier. The shield expands with a violent surge, shattering the creatures into countless fragments as Yun-Fil unleashes his newfound power. A spectral pistol, glowing with an intense blue energy, forms in Yun-Fil's hand, aimed forward. He plummets from the sky, a blue aura still clinging to him, before crashing hard onto the desolate ground. As he looks up, a wave of red energy erupts, sending the approaching horde of creatures scattering with a violent impact. A gasp escapes him as he takes in the sheer number of shadowy figures now swarming towards him from the ruined cityscape. He muses on his unique approach to problems, questioning the enemy's strategy, wondering if their plan is to simply overwhelm him. He concludes that they intend to drain his energy until he has nothing left to fight with. So the plan is to get all the way to the top, he muses, realizing he needs to get stronger to do that. Despite the setbacks that send him tumbling, his resolve remains unbroken. A sharp impact rings out as he falls, his eyes glowing with a fierce, blue light. He pushes past the pain, transforming his fall into a sprint, a blur of motion across the urban landscape. His mind is set. He will become the strongest hunter. With every stride, his eyes glow brighter, a silent promise that he will show them all. He unleashes a flurry of rapid, powerful blows, each strike echoing with his fierce determination. As he continues his relentless pursuit, a system window flashes, displaying a critical number, reminding him there's no time to waste. He must get stronger. His eyes glowed with an intense blue light as a sudden realization struck him, confirming his path forward. A grim determination settled over him as he stared up at the imposing, shadowy form, knowing he had no other choice. He knew he would simply have to find a way to overcome it, to get stronger. If he couldn't shield himself from the attacks, then the only option was to face them head-on, a low hum of energy building within him. The hum intensified, a growing pressure in his chest as his resolve solidified. A faint crack echoed, a sign of the immense power he was about to unleash, as his gaze shifted to a distant building, bathed in the orange glow of sunset. Now, his eyes burned a fierce red as he stood in a sterile hallway, a new target in mind. There was a cave in this building, right? His hand instinctively reached out, grabbing something unseen, his face set with grim resolve. With a final, deep hum of power, he stood silhouetted against the fading light, ready to confront whatever lay within. Having entered the mysterious cave, Yun-Fil finds himself on the ground, a guttural groan echoing as a towering, monstrous figure looms over him. Before he can fully recover, the creature's massive arm descends in a blur, but Phil, already rising, prepares to meet the attack with his drawn sword. With a burst of brilliant blue energy, Phil's blade flashes, severing the monster's arm cleanly from its shoulder, sending it flopping to the ground as the creature howls in agony. He glances at the detached limb, a hint of disbelief in his expression as he questions the reality of the situation. Even with its arm gone, the monster continues its relentless advance, prompting Phil to acknowledge his own unfamiliarity with such intense, life-or-death combat. The creature lets out another deafening roar, its aggression undiminished, leaving Phil to ponder the nature of his opponent. Identifying it as a zombie, he charges forward with incredible speed, ready to finish the fight. His sword slices through the air once more, striking the monster with a decisive blow as he dismisses it as a pathetic foe. Standing over the now defeated creature, Phil reflects that while it might have been considered strong by some, it was ultimately just another zombie. A desperate voice cries out, fearing the end, while Yun-Fil's eyes glow with an intense blue light, his thoughts consumed by the immediate threat. He needs the others' BTP to survive this ordeal, even if it means holding back his frustration. Standing on the precipice of a dark chasm, the figure in red warns that time is running out, admitting they have no BTP left. Yun-Fil, still glowing, listens as the grim reality settles in. Without a solution, they are all doomed. Yun-Fil gazes at a shimmering, ethereal light, a profound sense of confusion washing over him as he questions the nature of the phenomenon before him, and why he cannot recall it. Suddenly, a searing pain lances through his head, his eyes flaring with an unnatural blue glow as he cries out, overwhelmed by the inexplicable agony. As the pain subsides, a system message flashes before his eyes, announcing his awakening and the acquisition of a new, mysterious skill, unknown code. Still reeling from the experience, he stares at his outstretched hand, muttering questions about the nature of this awakening and what it truly means. Another system notification appears, confirming the acquisition of yet another unknown code skill. Later, in a dimly lit room, he sits before a large screen, his expression grim as he tries to comprehend the bewildering events unfolding around him. A close-up reveals a sophisticated device displaying SYNC, surrounded by numerous glowing fragments, each labeled unknown code, hinting at a deeper, complex system at play. His gaze remains fixed on the screen, his eyes still holding a faint, unsettling blue glow as he processes the implications of his new reality. A metallic, crystalline structure shatters with a deafening roar, energy lines erupting outwards. As fragments fly, an unseen voice screams, "Shut the hell up, Phil," only to be met with a defiant internal retort, "You can't tell me to shut up." Phil plummets through the chaotic space, his form enveloped in a vibrant red aura, eyes burning with an ominous glow. He lands amidst sharp, ice-like energy shards, his glowing red eyes reflecting a profound sense of distress. A close-up reveals the raw intensity of his emotion, his burning gaze fixed as he mutters, "I don't like him." Moments later, the chaos subsides, and Phil finds himself sitting in a subway car, a confused escaping him as he stares at a device displaying SYNC. Meanwhile, in a sterile office, an older man in a suit explains to a younger colleague that their agency's young hunters are showing signs of awakening, and there are still many unknown codes, prompting the younger man to question, "What's happening?" The older man continues, now addressing a woman with light blue hair, stating that if they disregard the unknown codes, no further awakening will be possible, as the system is rejecting them and is currently overloaded. The woman, her face etched with concern, reveals that they are in digital form, and her current status is unstable, fearing she might disappear. Within a shimmering digital space, a group of figures discusses the fundamental nature of their reality, pondering if a crystal ball, a crown, or a figure with glowing eyes represents the system's true will, or if it's merely a selection process. The white-haired man confirms the system's rejection of unknown codes, a phenomenon the blue-haired woman acknowledges as a problem, especially with the system's current instability. As Phil's eyes glow with an intense red light, the blue-haired woman continues, explaining that a young hunter, a kid, has rejected the system's code, possessing an immense power that defies their understanding. Back in the mundane world, Phil stares at a small, glowing device in his hand, its screen displaying the word SYNC, a good job, indeed, for a device that can connect to such power. The white-haired man in the digital realm expresses confidence that the system will eventually accept the kid's code, but the blue-haired woman remains skeptical, noting the system's current overload. She dismisses the notion of the system being wrong, as another figure walks away, while the white-haired man observes, acknowledging their own digital forms are becoming unstable. The blue-haired woman reiterates her warning about the kid's power, fearing it could make them disappear, as Phil stands near a police line, the SYNC device still on the ground. She expresses concern about the system's instability, while the white-haired man confirms the issue, displaying a laptop screen, and the SYNC device continues to glow on the ground. Phil's eyes glow a fierce red once more, a smirk playing on his lips as he acknowledges the code, understanding its true nature. Phil observes a small, ethereal form hanging in the air, a digital anomaly on his laptop screen, recognizing it as an alien code. A smirk plays on his lips as he processes the information, a thought solidifying in his mind. The unknown code begins to fall, its digital form dissolving as he watches, its reflection shimmering in his now glowing eyes. Suddenly, he launches himself into the air, a vibrant blue aura flaring around him. He carves a path through shadowy opponents, his movements impossibly fast, a blade of pure energy slicing through them with a devastating slash. His gaze is sharp, every fiber of his being focused, as he realizes that his every movement now transcends the boundaries of normal reality. While an ordinary person's emergency jump might reach 30 centimeters, for him, a meter is now child's play. He leaps again, landing with precision, his eyes burning with electric blue light as he understands the true nature of the code. It is the blue pill, a gateway to a new world that only now begins to open before him. He stares down, a question hanging in the air. Others around him murmur, wondering about his stillness, his lack of response. Then, a voice calls out, noticing movement. With a sudden, explosive force, he lashes out. But a skeletal hand erupts from below, grabbing at him. He recoils instantly, leaping back into a defensive stance. A masked figure flashes past, a blur of motion. Then, he's upon a grotesque monster, his fist connecting with brutal impact, a question forming in his mind. His eye glows crimson, and a chilling thought echoes through his consciousness. My deathbed? Phil lunges forward, a blur of motion, his arm extended in a swift, decisive strike. His blade arcs through the air, aiming for the masked assailant, who raises an arm to defend. With a soft flop, The assailant parries the sword with a bare hand, disarming him in an instant. Before he can react, the gray-clad figure retaliates with a swift kick, which Yun-Fil narrowly evades. A faint bzz echoes as he glances down at the strange items scattered on the ground, a momentary distraction in the chaos. That instant is all the masked assailant needs, delivering a powerful, glowing punch directly towards him. The impact connects with a sickening crock, sending Yun-Fil reeling backward, blood splattering from the force of the blow. As he struggles to regain his footing, a crimson glow ignites in his eyes, a sharp shine accompanying his surprised realization. I got hit. The masked assailant presses the advantage, unleashing a flurry of rapid attacks with a swoosh and crash, but Yun-Fil, now with glowing eyes, begins to dodge with renewed agility, a faint shine still emanating from him. A pained grunt escapes him, his crimson eyes burning with defiance, as the masked assailant questions his resolve. He simply states his intent to prove them wrong. The assailant, however, merely dismisses his words, a small, glowing blue cube appearing in their hand as they smile, confident that their opponents won't matter. With a soft, electric hum, the mysterious blue cube now rests on Yun-Fil's jacket, then in his hand, buzzing with an unknown energy. Despite the sudden development, Yun-Fil stands firm, his crimson eyes unwavering, the narration confirming his identity as the TOF Grandmaster. The game, he realizes, is just about to get interesting. The legendary TOF Grandmaster, Yun-Fil, stands with an air of quiet authority. With eyes glowing a vibrant blue, he muses that the game is just about to get interesting. A wide, confident grin spreads across his face as he lets out a triumphant laugh, the blue aura around him intensifying. Elsewhere, a man in a black suit chuckles, while his more serious companion questions if he isn't overdoing it. Unconcerned by their worries, Yun-Fil's fingers tap rhythmically on a glowing interface. He holds a small, luminous device in his palm, asking if such a thing is truly necessary before confidently stating his intention to claim the dark, leaving the light for others. As blue energy swirls around him, he asserts that no one can stop him. Gazing at a holographic screen, he finds it amusing how volatile he might be, realizing these things are just like the code he's always understood, and they will serve his work well. A slight smile plays on his lips as he considers another kid who thinks himself a genius, only using a few lines of the system, yet not entirely wrong about being a genius, or perhaps an unstoppable force. With glowing blue eyes, he dismisses the notion of a challenge, asserting that the boy who created this system is no different from the others, and that he is the only one truly capable of adapting. He continues, his gaze fixed on the glowing blue interfaces before him, believing that if he could fully utilize his skills and abilities, there would be hope. As blue particles erupt around him, he confirms his readiness, a confident smirk playing on his lips. His associate recoils in shock, unable to comprehend how he could turn virtual reality into such an infantile game. But Yun-Fil simply declares, hammer. With a powerful stomp, an armored foot descends, sending ripples of glowing blue energy across the ground. His hand grips a blade of pure, shimmering blue energy, ready to strike. He launches himself forward, a blur of motion and brilliant blue light, leaving his stunned observers far below. A glowing blue rectangular device is clutched firmly in his hand, a conduit for his immense power. He continues his rapid, almost ethereal movement, a streak of blue energy across the digital landscape. A surge of raw blue energy erupts from a central orb on the ground, crackling with an almost violent intensity. The powerful arcs lash out, instantly striking an armored figure who recoils violently under the sudden assault. Amidst the chaos, Yun-Fil, now cloaked and masked, observes the unfolding scene, his gaze fixed on the destructive power of the energy. His own eyes begin to glow with an intense blue light as he activates a device, channeling a focused beam of energy. A man with dark hair, his face contorted in anger, shouts at him, demanding to know what he is doing and urging him to move. Elsewhere, a vast, ornate hall stands empty, its grandeur hinting at a place of significant power. At its center, a regal throne holds a single, glowing orb, pulsating with a soft, ethereal light. Back in the fray, Yun-Fil engages an armored opponent, delivering a forceful punch that sends ripples of blue energy through the air. His power manifests further as a formidable blue energy weapon takes shape, glowing with destructive potential. Blue energy crackles around the masked assailant, building to a furious crescendo, before he unleashes a concentrated white energy beam from the glowing red orb on his chest. Yun-Fil, his eyes glowing electric blue, reacts with a sharp intake of breath, a single word escaping his lips as the attack closes in. The assailant, undeterred, charges forward, his red chest orb still pulsing with malevolent light. As his energy beam slams into an unseen barrier, causing it to crack under the immense force. Observing the distant figure, Yun-Fil's gaze remains sharp and calculating, a digital display on his arm showing BTP00. He channels his power, a brilliant blue orb of energy forming in his outstretched hand, before unleashing a devastating blue energy attack that shatters the surrounding ice and crystal with explosive force. A crystalline object, glowing with an ethereal light, hovers in a dark void. Suddenly, It shatters into countless luminous fragments, scattering across the darkness. A voice filled with murderous intent vows to end a life, while another, desperate, refuses to abandon someone. A helmeted figure, racked with pain, lets out a guttural sound as blue energy surges through them. Their eyes glowing with an unnatural blue light, a warning sign flashing as their features distort under the immense power. Elsewhere, a figure lies connected to an array of wires, their eyes wide with shock and glowing red, trapped in an unknown ordeal. A new, imposing figure emerges from the shadows, their eyes glowing with a cold, white light, uttering a single, ominous name. This mysterious individual, identified as Unknown Code 22 and Omnipotent, declares their target with unwavering certainty. In a vast, purple-hued dimension, Yoon Fil stands ready with his sword, facing the white-eyed figure, who defiantly states that their mission is far from over. A pained gasp escapes Song Jae-yu, his form racked with an internal struggle as purple energy pulses violently around him. He demands to know who is speaking to him, his voice laced with contempt as he dismisses the very concept of humanity, his glowing purple eyes fixed on an unseen presence. With a final, desperate plea to stop, Song Jae-yu unleashes his full power, a blinding wave of purple energy erupting from him, aimed directly at Yoon Fil, who stands ready, enveloped in a brilliant white aura. The two forces collide with a deafening clang, Song Jae-yu's purple energy blade meeting Yoon Fil's defensive white shield, sending shockwaves through the ethereal dimension. Both combatants strain against each other, their faces contorted with exertion, purple and white light reflecting in their determined eyes, locked in a brutal test of wills and power. Meanwhile, a figure wired into an experimental chair watches the unfolding chaos with glowing red eyes, as Yoon Fil, still locked in combat, questions his next move, wondering what he should do. In a control room, a stern man in glasses issues a critical command to activate the nanomachine, insisting they must save one of the combatants while there's still a chance. Back in the purple dimension, Song Jae-yu's voice rings out with a chilling warning. If Yoon Fil dies, then others will inevitably follow. The man with glasses and a concerned woman discuss the difficult choice they face, acknowledging the gravity of the situation concerning Yoon Fil, though the woman admits she doesn't fully grasp the implications. With his eyes glowing a fierce purple, Song Jae-yu resolves to halt humanity's path, his internal monologue echoing his grim determination. His jaw clenches tight, the sheer force of his will manifesting as his eyes burn with an even brighter, more menacing glow. Meanwhile, in a distant control room, a blue-haired observer's eyes widen in shock, a sudden, inexplicable phenomenon unfolding before him. A crimson aura erupts around Song Jae-yu, the raw power forcing Yoon Fil to his knees, as the observer cries out, questioning the impossible events. Song Jae-yu lets out a guttural scream of exertion, his power overwhelming Yoon Fil, who clutches his head, writhing in agony. Back in the control room, the blue-haired observer stares at his screen, a new revelation dawning on him. The inherent codes are being manipulated. Song Jae-yu's face contorts in a final, desperate scream, his hands and eyes blazing with an inferno of red energy as he pushes past his limits. The blue-haired observer, joined by the man with glasses, notes that Song Jae-yu is still breathing, speculating that he isn't conquering a rank, but rather attempting to manipulate the codes themselves. Meanwhile, Yoon Fil is seen curled up in a luminous blue void, his struggle confirmed to be with these codes rather than a conventional hunter rank. Song Jae-yu's glowing eyes fixate on his opponent, his voice laced with a chilling resolve, telling him that he must kill him. He continues, explaining that his opponent has to do it with his own hands, reiterating the grim ultimatum. As Song Jae-yu presses the point, asking if he can do it, a voice from the side shouts, Yoon Fil. Without warning, Song Jae-yu launches a swift, glowing attack. His expression intense as he declares, I'm serious, while Yoon Fil's face contorts in a silent scream of agony. The attack continues with a furious, almost insane intensity, a blur of motion. Yoon Fil lets out a pained grunt, his hand clenching into a tight fist, his face etched with anguish as he endures the onslaught. A sharp projectile slices through the air, narrowly missing him, causing his eyes to snap open in a sudden, defensive flinch. From a shadowed vantage point, a man in a fedora observes the chaos, his thoughts focused on pursuits. Lying defeated on the ground, Yoon Fil's body is still, while Song Jae-yu stands over him, his hand still crackling with a faint blue energy, a silent testament to his overwhelming power. From a distance, a third figure watches the scene unfold, their presence unnoticed. A sharp, glowing blade manifests with a soft hum, slicing through the air with incredible speed. Meanwhile, in a different location, a man in a fedora dismisses someone as a dumbass, while Song Jae-yu looks on. His gaze falling upon a figure hanging upside down, who curses their captor, while another pleads for forgiveness from a nearby chair, their pleas met with a cold, simple affirmation. Back in the dungeon, Yoon Fil's eyes glow with an intense blue light as a system message congratulates him, declaring his success in clearing the first ribbon dungeon before he addresses Song Jae-yu and logs out of the system. Song Jae-yu, his own eyes glowing with a sinister purple hue, warns that his target knows too much, asking if they wish to die. as the memory of his father's death at the hands of an unknown code user lingers in his mind. He muses that the target remains unaware of their fate, while the masked assailant confirms their purpose is to acquire the code, questioning if the individual they seek is indeed the target. Song Jae-yu utters a chilling farewell, wondering what will happen once the code is gone, to which the masked assailant responds with a speculative if he. And the fedora-clad man adds a grim indeed. With a simple yup, Song Jae-yu confirms their suspicions, standing amidst his assembled group, all of them likely in agreement. A hand hovers over a keyboard, the screen before it displaying lines of intricate code. Meanwhile, Song Jae-yu, his eyes glowing with an unsettling purple light, addresses someone off-screen, saying, "I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, the code." Elsewhere, Yoon-fil stirs awake in his bed, the morning light filtering through his room, a system notification confirming his identity. Back with the group, a hand pours tea into a delicate cup, the speaker's voice firm as they state, "We need to talk." Song Jae-yu sits across from the masked assailant, the conversation continuing from before. He reiterates, "First of all, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, the code." The masked figure listens intently as Song Jae-yu leans forward, his tone growing more serious. "It's our turn to take the code. The time has come." The assailant questions, "You mean unknown code 22? To which Song Jae-yu replies, "Yeah. I'm not talking about some useless code. It's hard for me to say it in person." Now alone, facing a screen, Song Jae-yu concludes, "So I guess I'll just say it now. That's how it is. Why are you looking at me like that?" He corrects himself, the timeline not tomorrow, but the day after, his interest in someone unwavering. A sudden thought seems to strike him, causing him to gasp. With a determined glint in his glowing eyes, he declares his intention to leave this place by tomorrow morning. Later, standing outside with his masked associate, Song Jae-yu suggests they change the scenery, prompting the masked figure to question his reasoning, to which he cryptically replies that that guy is going to be something. The masked figure presses him, asking what he means, but Song Jae-yu simply pauses, considering his words. Suddenly, a wild, guttural laugh erupts, and the masked figure snaps, telling the unseen source that this is not something to be laughed about. Song Jae-yu turns to his associate, reassuring him not to worry. The masked figure huffs, thinking it was a joke, but Song Jae-yu insists he is damn serious. He reiterates his intention to leave, his gaze fixed on the city below. His companion, the helmeted figure, questions him, wondering if he's truly serious about this guy he mentioned, and if he's truly going to change the scenery. Song Jae-yu simply confirms, his expression unwavering, that he is indeed back. A chilling glow emanates from his eyes, reflecting a deep, unsettling resolve. The helmeted figure, still processing the implications, calls out to him, using a familiar, almost exasperated tone. Song Jae-yu simply states that this is a serious matter, his words carrying an undeniable weight. He promises that his companion will soon understand. As the helmeted figure looks down, a sense of unease settling over him. The helmeted figure then laments the inadequacy of his own connections, standing beside Song Jae-yu as the city stretches out before them. Later, inside a subway car, the helmeted figure stands alone, a system message appearing before him, announcing an amazing feat, the fastest clear of a subway dungeon. Following his unprecedented dungeon clear, Yoon-fil stands transformed, his eyes burning with an intense blue light as raw power radiates from his muscular form. Meanwhile, an older man observes, noting the extraordinary capabilities of Yoon-fil's RITP, immune system, and reflexes, remarking that this is quite a talented group. With a stern expression, he then asks, "You want to crack at them?" Every individual possesses a unique set of skills, a truth acknowledged by the stern-faced man as he speaks. He continues, noting that Yoon-fil's innate ability, his immune system, is a rare reflex, making this particular group quite talented. His gaze sharpens, a question hanging in the air: what should be done about them? Meanwhile, a system message flashes, revealing the location as Chungyang High School, a place marked by an unknown code. Inside one of its classrooms, students murmur amongst themselves, their chatter filling the air as Song Jae-yu stands at the front, engaged in conversation. A soft squeak echoes as a foot steps through a doorway, signaling an arrival. It is Yoon-fil, standing resolute in the school's entrance, his presence commanding attention. Back in the classroom, Song Jae-yu sits, his attention fixed on a glowing screen, a soft thumping sound accompanying his focus. Elsewhere, the masked assailant reacts with frustration, muttering about the speed of events, before exclaiming that he is finally here, that he is back. A figure in a lab coat turns sharply, a look of surprise crossing their face as they exclaim, "What's back with him?" Their gaze falls upon Yoon-fil, whose name is uttered with a mix of shock and recognition. Meanwhile, a subtle blue glow emanates from a device on his gloved wrist, hinting at the power stirring within him. The red-haired figure, now looking apologetic, explains, "Sorry, I didn't report you had any special abilities." He offers a quiet, sorry. Yoon-fil's expression remains stern as he clarifies, "It's not your fault. It's my fault for you to call a code." The red-haired figure promises to be more careful, while a new, dark-haired individual with piercing red eyes approaches, asking, "I heard you had a special ability." Yoon-fil's eyes briefly glow with a faint blue light as he admits, "I still feel these things." The red-haired figure, seemingly trying to change the subject, asks, "Anyways, What happened? The dark-haired individual reiterates their question. I heard you had a special ability. The red-haired figure again offers an apology, promising to be more careful, while the dark-haired individual persists. I heard you had a special ability. Yoon-fil looks at the dark-haired individual with a questioning glance, who then asks, What's up with him? The red-haired figure responds, I don't know. He surveys the school building, a sense of unease washing over him. As he walks away, his thoughts drift to the others, wondering why they remain so calm, and to the man who seems to be watching him. A red-haired man in a lab coat approaches, his voice a low warning. They're always watching, and any misstep will be met with severe consequences. Yoon-fil's expression hardens, recalling how even his own formidable barrier was pierced by certain individuals, but he knows that alone won't be enough to stop him. As he continues on, Song Jae-yu appears, his voice laced with an unsettling playfulness, insisting there's no fun in playing with him and directly asking if he's a code user. Song Jae-yu's eyes glow with an intense red light, revealing he sensed something peculiar just moments ago. Yoon-fil simply stands, acknowledging his presence and the powers he still possesses. Song Jae-yu's glowing red eyes narrow, his demeanor shifting to irritation as he dismisses a white whisper and sharply tells Yoon-fil to move along, calling him a squirrel for following him around. Yoon-fil offers a simple apology, stating his liking for Song Jae-yu, who then realizes the connection, identifying him as the one who triggered his key sensor and possesses the code. He lunges forward, eyes blazing with an intense, purple-blue glow, demanding to know if this is indeed the infamous Yoon-fil, the psycho. His voice sharpens, accusing him of being back and revealing that they've been watching him all this time, then questioning if the white whisper is his doing, or if he's trying to move something. Phil, taken aback by the sudden aggression, tries to play it cool, assuring him that he's just standing there and that everything is fine. He insists he's not so bad, merely trying to live his life. The young man watches him, his expression unreadable as he falls into a deep contemplation. His eyes glow once more, the purple-blue light intensifying as he mentally labels Phil as Apex, the one who broke the code to become the grandmaster of code users, a hunter forged by the loss of his father to an unknown code. A scoff escapes him, observing Phil's current state and remarking that he looks like he's on the verge of becoming a monster, warning him not to play the fool. Outside, the building stands tall, while inside, Phil reacts with a startled what to the young man's pronouncements. He then projects a holographic skeleton, pressing Phil on his knowledge of code creators and why he fears them, asserting that the current system is the only way to maintain peace. Continuing his relentless questioning, Song Jae-yu presses Yoon-fil, suggesting he is not just a code user, but the very one who created the code itself. As Yoon-fil denies any knowledge, a holographic display flickers to life, showcasing images of powerful individuals like Lions Leona and Blitz, identified as legendary code users. Song Jae-yu explains his method of attacking to teach others how to cope, believing it will help them protect others once recruited, before his tone shifts, revealing a darker motive as he wonders aloud if he simply wants to play for fun when bored, questioning what his words truly mean to Yoon-fil. Yoon-fil reacts with a frustrated groan, attempting to dismiss the conversation by claiming he is busy, but Song Jae-yu sees through the excuse, accusing him of merely trying to escape. Offering to pay for any inconvenience, Song Jae-yu tries to entice him, but Yoon-fil remains unimpressed, reiterating his lack of time for such matters. Undeterred, Song Jae-yu explains the critical need for more code users, individuals capable of creating new code, and also for forcers, those who simply know how to utilize existing code, lamenting the current shortage of both. Yoon-fil firmly states his inability to participate, prompting Song Jae-yu to demand a reason, to which he responds with a hesitant, incomplete declaration. Interrupting his thought, Song Jae-yu suggests there is a way for him to get in touch with the code and become a forcer, his eyes glowing with an unsettling intensity. With a chilling confidence, Song Jae-yu declares they will ensure others get in touch with the code, leaving Yoon-fil to react with a look of deep concern and unease. Approaching a large, modern hospital building, Yoon-fil wonders aloud about the nature of this particular facility. Suddenly, he leaps with surprising agility, clearing a significant distance in a single bound. His companion, Song Jae-yu, simply confirms it is indeed a hospital, leaving Yoon-fil to ponder the obvious. Inside, a stern-faced doctor, Mr. Wade, is introduced as a new arrival, his youth noted by a colleague. Mr. Wade's gaze sharpens as he considers the implications of his new role, especially when confronted with the title school nurse. A burst of laughter escapes him, a cynical amusement at the absurdity of his situation, questioning the very nature of being a school nurse in this context. Another doctor, Kim Byum, informs Mr. Wade that he is now in charge of Yoon-fil, Kim Byum himself, and the twins, prompting Mr. Wade to declare that such an arrangement would disrupt a great hospital. His expression darkens as he asserts his dislike for individuals with poor attitudes, believing that gathering such kids would only lead to chaos. Mr. Wade's eyes narrow, reflecting on the grim reality of his profession where blood is spilled and lives are lost, contrasting it sharply with the idea of others simply killing people. A stern voice cuts through the quiet office, warning that if he isn't a forger, he's a dead man, Phil. The speaker, a man with slicked back hair, continues, defining a living weapon as merely a tool, before clarifying, "You're more than just a forger. You're the weapon, Song Jae-yu. And I'm the forger." As a screen displays the current highest code user rank, SSS ranker, the chilling philosophy echoes, "A living weapon is just a tool. What does a tool have to do?" The forger then labels Phil an anomaly, instructing him, "Tomorrow, Phil, you'll be at the construction site of code 25. Then better be ready." A hand taps a safety zone sign, as if marking a boundary. From a high vantage point overlooking a massive construction site, Song Jae-yu reflects, "I'm supposed to be the weapon." His glowing eyes fixated on the scene below, he questions, "Are you saying I'm a forger?" With a series of soft metallic clicks, Song Jae-yu begins his descent down the side of the towering structure. Deep within the construction site, a hushed silence falls as Song Jae-yu descends into the darkness, emerging into a vast, sterile white chamber, starkly contrasting the world above. A holographic interface greets him, warning that code 25 is the training facility and access is denied, but he dismisses the automated voice, his resolve firm. He will find the code user here. With a soft hum, a glowing portal opens before him, and he steps through, advancing deeper into the facility. The long, pristine corridors of the training facility stretch out before him, a silent testament to its purpose. He passes a small, glowing device on the wall, recalling Professor Choi's words about a code user waiting for him, confirming their meeting point at the training center. Another holographic display flickers to life, showing F5, guiding his path forward. He steps into yet another expansive, empty chamber, the silence amplifying his anticipation. There, Yoon Phil stands, checking the time and calling out to someone named Blitz, before turning and beckoning him closer, a silent invitation to the confrontation. Yoon Phil stands calmly in the sterile white room, observing the young man before him. A desperate plea escapes Song Jae-yu, demanding his arm be returned, only for Yoon Phil to casually dismiss it as a minor oversight. As Song Jae-yu's face contorts in anguish, Yoon Phil acknowledges his potential, yet coldly reminds him that despite his gifts, he remains merely human. Looking down at the defeated figure, Yoon Phil's eyes, hidden behind his glasses, hold a chilling resolve, believing the young man needs to be reborn. His voice firm and unwavering, Yoon Phil commands him to stand, promising to reveal the true meaning of being codeless. With eyes burning a fierce red, Yoon Phil stands victorious over the mangled remains of a monstrous foe, its blood staining the ground. His gaze then shifts to another figure, Song Jae-yu, who lies defeated and broken at his feet, a stark testament to the overwhelming power he wields. From a distance, the forger watches the unfolding brutality, his expression grim and unreadable. Yoon Phil's thoughts echo with a cold resolve, reminding himself that to truly succeed, he must embrace absolute ruthlessness. He begins to walk away, a dismissive "okay," escaping his lips before his anger flares, questioning how Song Jae-yu dared to challenge him. Turning back with a sharp glare, he fixes his furious gaze upon the fallen opponent. Then, with a sudden, brutal assault, he unleashes a flurry of blows, each impact echoing with a sickening BM, smack, and crack, berating Song Jae-yu as trash and declaring his own presence as Captain Yoon Phil before condemning his goddamn pretentious attitude. Song Jae-yu can only manage a confused "huh?" as Yoon Phil continues his relentless verbal assault, promising to ensure he's been thoroughly taught a lesson. As Yoon Phil's assault intensifies, Song Jae-yu's eyes begin to glow with a faint purple-blue light, the beating continuing without mercy. Still reeling from the brutal assault, a voice echoes, observing that he is not merely human, but a predator, questioning how such strength could exist, while another, frustrated by his own perceived weakness, wonders why he cannot improve. Despite the pain, a defiant promise is made to end Phil, even as the injured man's face contorts in agony. Meanwhile, in a sterile environment, the forger stares intently at a complex data display, his brow furrowed in deep concentration, a palpable frustration etched across his features. Reaching into a drawer, he retrieves a sleek, futuristic headset, its design hinting at advanced capabilities. Donning the device, the forger observes a screen displaying his own name, a subtle confirmation of his identity, as the headset settles into place. With a soft, electronic hum, the headset's integrated display flickers to life, glowing with a vibrant blue light and revealing a distinct FF symbol. The FF symbol pulses with energy, revealing the intricate circuitry of the Sonax system beneath. The Sonax designation glows intensely red, accompanied by a deep, resonant buzz, indicating full system activation. The forger stands before a large screen, its display showing the cryptic designation, unknown code 26. His expression unreadable as he contemplates the implications. Later, addressing Mr. Wade, he declares that tomorrow will be spent with him, prompting the doctor to acknowledge the need to take a day off for whatever is planned. Gathering his key personnel, including Mr. Wade, Lyons Leona, and Blitz, the forger issues a directive. From now on, they must all train within the virtual arena. Leona and Blitz exchange surprised glances, with Blitz voicing their collective disbelief, questioning the idea of a forger fighting in a virtual arena. Meanwhile, in a different setting, Mr. Wade and Kim Beam react with similar astonishment, Wade muttering his thoughts aloud. Back with the forger, he continues his explanation to Mr. Wade, emphasizing the importance of their collective efforts. As they stand in a laboratory, Mr. Wade, still processing the new directive, asks what exactly he is expected to learn from this virtual training. As the virtual arena training begins, a katana appears, a weapon usually seen in movies, and the forger announces that the section will go to the final, initiating the first part of the exercise. He watches intently from his desk, observing the unfolding events on a large screen, a silent monitor of the chaos he has unleashed. Meanwhile, within the arena, Song Jae-yu's eyes glow with an eerie purple-blue light, his face splattered with blood as he targets the kids, a chilling whoosh accompanying his violent assault. He stands over a pile of defeated figures, their bodies broken and bloodied, the sickening thud of another impact echoing through the virtual space. With his eyes still glowing, Song Jae-yu questions the reality of the blood, a swish of motion preceding his next strike, as someone desperately calls out "Teacher." His gaze intensifies, the purple-blue light forming a cross-shaped pattern within his pupils, and another thump signals the brutal end for yet another opponent. Amidst the carnage, surrounded by the fallen, Song Jae-yu lets out a chilling, drawn-out laugh, reveling in the destruction. His eyes still glowing with manic energy, a voice demands to know if he has completely lost his mind. Ignoring the desperate plea, he delivers a final, devastating blow. A smaz followed by a heavy thud as his opponent collapses, the voice condemning him as a freaking psycho. He continues his relentless assault, a blur of motion as he strikes down one opponent, then another, the sickening sounds of impact echoing through the virtual space. As screams erupt around him, he twists another opponent's neck with a sickening crack, sending them collapsing to the ground as others are thrown through the air. The sheer brutality of the scene prompts a desperate plea from the horrified observers, demanding someone call for the authorities. A man's face, streaked with blood and eyes burning an unnatural red, contorts into a snarl as he lunges forward, a terrified voice screaming, "You freaking psycho!" With a sickening thud and crack, he delivers a devastating blow, the impact echoing through the confined space. The victim collapses, their neck twisted at an impossible angle, their screams abruptly cut short as terror grips the onlookers. A desperate plea rises from the terrified crowd, begging for someone, anyone, to call the authorities. Ignoring their pleas, Yoon-fil moves with impossible speed, an unknown code 27 flashing in his perception as he sends another person flying through the air. Another victim screams as they are struck, blood spraying from the impact. He steps deliberately onto a fallen body, the victim's desperate plea to stay away barely a whisper beneath his foot. His eyes glow with renewed intensity, a powerful KRA sound accompanying the clenching of his fist as he prepares for the next assault. With a violent swish, he sends yet another person hurtling through the air, their screams echoing as they crash against the far wall. The impact sends a man in a white coat flying, crashing against the interior of the vehicle as a voice screams for everyone to take cover. Another man, bald and in a similar coat, tries to speak, but Yoon-fil's hand clamps around his face, crushing his words and his skull. A sickening rip echoes through the space as the man's neck twists unnaturally, his body dropping with a heavy thud. His eyes, now glowing with an intense purple light, betray the monstrous power within him, leaving onlookers terrified and questioning if this is truly the same person they knew. Without hesitation, he lunges at another, burying his teeth into their neck with a brutal chomp. The victim screams in agony, a guttural sound of pure terror and pain as the assault continues. Then, with a powerful grasp, he throws the mangled body to the ground, the impact echoing through the confined space. Another figure in a white coat is sent flying with a swift, powerful blow, their scream cut short as they become a projectile. Moving with impossible speed, Yoon-fil becomes a blur, a terrifying force of nature tearing through the facility. Still gripped by an uncontrollable fury, Yoon-fil holds a man in a lab coat by his collar, who can only stammer out a terrified plea. As the man screams in agony, Yoon-fil observes him, a chilling thought echoing in his mind. This powered-up state must be the unknown code. He stands over the now-fallen figure, the narration declaring that the man was always destined for this fight, and now he would finally get what was coming to him. With blood splattered across his face and his eyes burning with an intense purple glow, Yoon-fil roars a command for everyone to get out. Then, with a sickening crunch, he bites into the neck of another screaming man, tearing at his flesh. His strength is immense, a feral hunger driving him as he continues to bite, his mouth wide open, revealing sharp, predatory teeth. He snarls, calling his victim a loser, as the brutal assault continues. Finally, standing over a pile of broken bodies, Yoon-fil looks up, his purple eyes still burning with an unholy light. Leaving a trail of carnage and terror in his wake, he walks away from the scene of his rampage. Still consumed by a feral rage, he tears at the neck of one lab-coated figure, then violently slaps another away. His relentless assault sending shockwaves of terror through the facility. The remaining staff scatter in panic as he advances. His blood-splattered face contorted in a snarl, he declares to his terrified victims that they are going nowhere. He moves with blinding speed, a blur of motion as he dashes past one, then another, leaving them stunned in his wake. But just as his rampage seems unstoppable, two new figures appear, one cloaked in black with piercing red eyes, the other in a pristine white suit, ready to intervene. The masked figure strikes first, a devastating blow that sends the white-suited fighter hurtling through the air, the impact echoing through the room. Yet, even mid-flight, the white-suited figure twists, winding up a powerful counterpunch, connecting with a thunderous wham against the masked assailant. But the masked figure's resilience is absolute, and the white-suited fighter is sent flying back once more, crashing violently into a nearby desk. He crashes violently into the shattered remains of a desk, debris exploding around him as he hits the ground. Meanwhile, the masked figure lands with a soft thump, his gaze fixed on the white-suited fighter, whose eyes glow with an intense blue light. A low hum escapes the masked figure as he slowly drags something across the floor, his red eyes piercing the dim light. He stops before the downed fighter, a knowing tone in his voice as he remarks, "Just as I expected. You're an awakened, aren't you?" Then, extending a hand towards him, the masked figure offers a formal greeting. "Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you." A hand reaches out with a sharp, tearing sound, followed by a close-up of Song Jae-yu, his eyes glowing crimson, blood staining his mouth. A syringe is then held aloft, its wielder stating, "Just an experiment," before plunging the needle into a gloved hand, met with the retort, "You're the one who didn't tell me." As Song Jae-yu, his dark hair framing those glowing red eyes, greets the white-haired figure before him, the other responds with a chillingly polite, "It's a pleasure to meet you." A jarring shift reveals the white-haired figure standing amidst a classroom, students strewn across the floor, a silent testament to the chaos that has unfolded. Back in the confrontation, Song Jae-yu's crimson eyes narrow, questioning, "Not the first time, right?" He then asserts, "He's my friend," before a single word, reality, escapes his lips, dripping with skepticism. The white-haired figure's composure shatters, his face twisting in fury as he screams, "You bastard." Song Jae-yu maintains his intense gaze, while the white-haired figure looks down, his expression now unreadable. Blood streaks across the white-haired figure's face, yet a wide, unsettling smile spreads across his lips as he holds a syringe, a soft swish accompanying its movement. His eyes glow with an eerie light as a casual explanation is offered. "Just got a little bit older, that's all." Then, with a final, unsettling intensity, he calls out, "Hey." The white suit fighter's words cut deep, leaving Song Jae-yu reeling, his mind struggling to comprehend the accusation. A friend? The thought echoes in his mind, a painful memory, before a cold resolve settles over his features. As the white suit fighter lunges forward, closing the distance with a swift motion, Song Jae-yu recoils, his eyes flaring with an ominous purple-blue glow. A snarl escapes his bloodied lips, revealing sharpened fangs, the raw power within him threatening to erupt. The white suit fighter looks down, his voice laced with disbelief, questioning Song Jae-yu's choices and lamenting the person he has become. But Song Jae-yu stands firm, his resolve unwavering, refusing to yield or allow others to suffer as he has. A memory flashes, of the forger reminding a masked Phil of his duty, a solemn vow to protect lives. The white suit fighter's grip tightens, his words cutting through Song Jae-yu's thoughts, invoking both his memories and his friends. With a final, decisive motion, the white suit fighter plunges a glowing syringe into Song Jae-yu's neck, forcing the unknown substance into him. A guttural scream tears from his throat, his face contorted in pain, blood staining his lips. The raw sound of agony and rage echoes, as he thrashes, a sudden burst of movement, sending him flying backward, a blur of motion through the air. Regaining his footing, he glares down, demanding to know the whereabouts of the forger. Meanwhile, Yoon-fil stands, phone in hand, seemingly observing the chaos. But Song Jae-yu lunges, a desperate cry escaping him as he tries to snatch the device. Yoon-fil is faster, however, a sudden burst of speed propelling him forward. He moves with cold, calculated efficiency, a slight tsk of annoyance escaping him as he closes the distance, followed by a sharp, impactful sound. With a heavy impact, he pins Song Jae-yu to the ground, his voice low and menacing as he questions his opponent's intentions, warning him of the trouble he's caused, and finally addressing him by name. Yoon-fil. Yoon-fil maintains his firm grip on Song Jae-yu, reminding him that he will hold him until the battle truly begins, as the younger man struggles against the restraint. Song Jae-yu, his eyes glowing with frustration, realizes this is a trick, declaring that no one can fool him all the time, his face contorted in a mix of anger and disbelief. Meanwhile, Mr. Wade, in a high-rise office overlooking the city, discusses a pressing matter. There's a situation unfolding in the classroom, and someone needs to get out because there's a witness. He lets out a sigh, then issues a new directive, demanding the identification of Kim S. Boo. Gazing out at the urban sprawl, he adds that the situation should be praised as if it were a psychological war, emphasizing the strategic depth of their current predicament. However, a note of concern enters his voice, admitting they have a problem, and it's proving to be a little tricky. He reflects on a persistent adversary, lamenting that the rogue Judas always manages to escape. Changing the subject abruptly, he asks about a financial matter, inquiring if payment has been made. He presses further, asking if they received their money, receiving confirmation that they have already paid. He continues his cold assessment, reflecting on the past, where his operations had led to the deaths of multiple young students. With a chilling detachment, he concludes that it was a beautiful sacrifice. A shadowed figure reflects on a unique individual, a man who possesses the rare ability to perceive the very fabric of the code that governs their reality, acknowledging his own lineage as his father's son. With a subtle smirk, he considers the implications of such a power, muttering about a beautiful sacrifice as the system displays unknown code 22. Later, dressed in a sharp red suit, the young man rests in a plush chair, his eyes closed in what appears to be a deep slumber or meditative state. As his hand reaches out, perhaps interacting with an unseen interface, the unknown code 22 system message reappears, hinting at his continued engagement with the mysterious power. Suddenly, he kneels, his body tensing as his eyes snap open, now glowing with an intense, crimson light, signifying a profound shift in his abilities. Standing tall in a dark, futuristic corridor, he gazes intently at a swirling, luminous portal, a question forming on his lips about what lies beyond its shimmering surface. The glowing structure before him takes on a more defined shape, revealing itself as a distinct gate, beckoning him forward. With his crimson eyes burning with resolve, he makes his decision, a quiet declaration of intent echoing in the silent, charged air. The gate responds, its ethereal energy pulsing and expanding, a powerful hum filling the space as it prepares for his passage. He struggles internally, wishing he could halt the surge of power, a force that humans are yet unaware of, a power he knows will ultimately be his. His eyes, now glowing with an intense purple light, reflect the digital nature of this awakening. A chilling thought echoes in his mind. Murder is far more amazing. He commands himself to stop, his own voice a desperate plea. Yet, the digital energy around him intensifies, defying his will. His silhouette is consumed by the internal battle, a silent scream to cease the overwhelming force. But the power only grows, his eyes now burning a fierce red, a crimson aura flaring around him, as he finally accepts it, wondering if even hell itself could stop what he has become. There is no reason for his will to resist. He is Song. With a powerful surge of energy, he stands before the luminous, otherworldly gate, ready to step through. He surveys the glowing purple gate before him, a dark satisfaction settling over him as he acknowledges the power now coursing through his veins. With a sharp, almost metallic sound, his eyes, once purple, now blaze a terrifying crimson. A chilling, echoing laugh escapes him, a twisted expression of gratitude and a promise of repayment for the power he has gained. As if in response to his will, more glowing purple gates erupt into existence around him, multiplying in a dizzying display of raw energy. A sharp, almost painful surge of power courses through his body, making him clench his fists as he struggles to contain the immense force. His hand glows with an ethereal light, the energy crackling around his fingertips. Now fully transformed, he stands radiating a potent red aura, his form crackling with barely contained power. Before him, a colossal, swirling purple gate looms, a gateway to the unknown, beckoning him forward. With a chilling resolve, he declares his intent to take everything he desires and eliminate anyone who stands in his way, completely abandoning all reason. His crimson eyes fixed on the holographic projection of Yun-Fil, Song Jae-yu reflected on the past, acknowledging the moment he first encountered the code user. He then considered Mr. Wade, understanding that some challenges could not be overcome with brute force alone, a truth that resonated deeply within him. His thoughts drifted to the enigmatic masked red eyes, a figure whose presence always promised a difficult choice, a path fraught with uncertainty. And finally, the white suit fighter, whose strength was undeniable, yet still left him with a lingering question. How could he truly overcome such formidable opponents? Suddenly, the reflection shattered, as Song Jae-yu lay defeated on the ground, the imposing figure of the forger standing over him, a stark and painful reality.